Lakeshore Drive and the Loop, full of life, and those who call Chicago are full of loyalty. I mean, how else could they survive the lean years at Wrigley Field? Today, something else is blowing into town. The trucks are drafting in the Windy City. Chicago's victory lane in Nationwide. Kyle Busch doubled up Nationwide and Sprint Cup wins last year. Todd Bodine has 2 poles here, but in this series, everyone is chasing double digits. The double 8s of Matt Crafton chasing the double 3s of Ron Hornaday. This chase has already begun. About 40 miles southwest of downtown Chicago along Interstate 80 is Joliet, home of the Blues Brothers and the Chicagoland Speedway. We do not have a Jake or an Elwood, but we do have the best racing in NASCAR. Hit it! The setup is on. Hello and welcome to the very first setup from the Chicagoland Speedway. I'm Krista Voda. We have any number of guys who can win this race tonight, but regardless of who does, it will be a first because this will be the first time the trucks will take the green flag at this track. You probably hear the jet dryers behind me cleaning off the track. The ARCA race just completed. We will get this truck race underway in just a few moments. Let's go ahead and take a look at our news and notes for the weekend. Matt Crafton is on the pole. You see his bright yellow truck, the number 88 behind me, and this makes the storyline even better because he is on the pole. Ron Hornaday, the guy he's chasing in points, starting 6th. That may not sound bad, but that is the worst start for Hornaday of the season. By the way, alongside Crafton on the front row, Chad McCumbee. He has been really good here all weekend. We have some double duty drivers in the field, Kyle Busch and Colin Brown. As soon as this truck race is over, those two will head for the border. They are heading up to Canada. They will race in the Nationwide event in Montreal. Weather, can you believe it? It has played a factor again. It's beautiful right now. Yesterday, though, we had a good soaking. Since the trucks have never raced here, the drivers were supposed to get tons of track time. Now, they were still able to get on the track, but they did not get as much practice as they had planned. Well, last week, the trucks kicked off a triple header weekend in Bristol. Actually, quadruple weekend if you count the modifieds. And as has been the case for the last month and a half, the storyline going into Bristol, Ron Hornaday's win streak. What would be the story coming out? Here's a look back.
What is it going to take for Ron Hornaday to win this race?
Well, we have what's arguably the best field we've had all year long. And not only that, this may be the most challenging racetrack that these guys will run this year.
Green flag in the air. We're underway at Thunder Valley.
Door to door, door to door.
Again, Ryan Newman on the bottom of the racetrack.
Like loose off the top. Boy, Skinner drove that thing down in the 3rd turn, didn't he? And grabbed the lead from Ryan Newman.
The 09 gets turned around. Nate Monteith.
Little contact from the 13 of Johnny Sauter. Commodine gets sideways and runs into Taylor Mossam, wrecking both of those trucks.
As far as race strategy goes, we've completed 37 laps now.
That may be
potentially
it.
They could make it all the way to checkered flag.
That may be it. Absolutely.
Straight out, straight out.
Green flag back in the air. Jason White in front of Timothy Peters.
Jason ran his fastest lap of the race on lap number 60, so the used tires have not hurt him.
Jason White feeling very good here tonight. The strategy so far, stay on the racetrack.
Kyle Busch has made his way up now to the rear bumper of Jason's truck.
Closing the door a bit there was Jason White as they made their way into turn 1.
He knows he's holding off the best there is in Kyle Busch.
3 wide as they go down the backstretch. This is for the lead. Kyle Busch takes the position away. He is your leader here in Bristol.
We've got a new battle developing in this series, and that's Ron Hornaday versus Kyle Busch. Let's take a look at Ron Hornaday's wins this season. He won at Charlotte, Milwaukee, Memphis, Kentucky, ORP, and Nashville. But guess what? In 4 of those events, there was no Kyle Busch.
Just a textbook performance for that team tonight. He was fast. They hit their pit strategy perfect, and now he drops off turn 4 and takes the checkered flag at Bristol.
So Hornaday's streak comes to an end. Still incredibly impressive. Great battles continue further back in the points. In fact, the fight to stay in the top 10 is intense. Matt Crafton was able to trim a few points off Hornaday's lead, but it's still Ron at the top. Adam Alexander is standing by with our points leader.
And one of the reasons Ron Hornaday paces the field in the Truck Series points is because of his success at these kinds of racetracks. 3 wins in the last 10 mile-and-a-half races. So what's it going to take to continue that hot streak here tonight, Ron?
I really don't know. You know, the track's changed. We've had that different rubber down, so we've got some good adjustments in our Turtle Wax Chevrolet. So we'll see. We're going to pace ourselves and see what they've got in front of us, and try to get a good pit stop and make some changes.
2:11, the advantage for Hornaday as we enter the inaugural race tonight here at Chicagoland. Ray?
Well, how about a great run for this Menard Chevrolet and Matt Kraft and this team. Second career pole, and I'll tell you what, throughout the course of practice all week, it looks like you might have the truck to beat tonight.
I think so. I mean, this Menard Chevy is good. I mean, yesterday we weren't as good, and we made a lot of changes, like I said earlier, overnight. And we thought about it, and we put our heads together this morning, made a bunch of changes, and we kept working on the thing throughout practice the whole time. We didn't make a qualifying run. This is our Texas tire that we raced there, so all we did is looked at our Texas notes, looked at our Texas qualifying pressure, went with that. We qualified third there and had a good truck, so hopefully this Menard Chevy will be up front all night.
Matt Kraft and one of the guys saying, don't put Hornaday's name on that championship trophy just quite yet, Krista.
That's right, Ray. I'm down here in his pit, and his crew is working feverishly. You know, with 10 to go in the past in Truck Series history, the leader has won exactly half of those times, 7 of the 14 championships. But check it out, the largest point lead we ever had and the closest point margin, though two guys who were leading at those points did not win. So this is still anyone's ball game. Well, one of the guys to keep an eye on tonight has got to be David Starr. David Starr has finished in the top 10 5 of the last 6 races. He has CareerBuilder.com on board with his Zachary machine tonight. David Starr has been really good all weekend, hoping to build his career with a Chicago win. Stick around, the drivers are getting ready. We have more toppings than a slice of Chicago-style pizza. There's Starr and his smile. He's ready to go. We will take another bite right after this.
Still to come on the setup, we'll open the vault for a look at the only 2 races the trucks have ever run in the Windy City. And TJ Bell gets Ray Dunlap to do something he's never done before, wakeboarding. Even with the help of professionals, can Ray pull it off? Find out when the setup returns from Chicago, live on Speed.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series setup on Speed is brought to you in part by Camping World. Visit Camping World for all of your tow, truck, and tire needs. And brought to you in part by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Drunk driving over the limit, under arrest. Series sponsor Camping World hosted an event for fans at the Navy Pier in Chicago on Wednesday, all to kick off the Camping World Destination Recreation Sweepstakes. Ray Dunlap was there.
Well, we had lots of Camping World Truck Series drivers on hand, even though it was a rainy afternoon on Wednesday in Chicago, and the fans still came out to hear about the new Destination Recreation Sweepstakes. Now, this is going to be great. All you've got to do to enter is log on to campingworld.com/racing. Now, you can start registering on September the 4th, and it goes all the way to October 30th. But there's some great prizes. Check it out. You can get a Honda generator. You can get a Coleman grill. You can get this great set of chairs. And 5 lucky winners are going to get a $500 shopping spree at Camping World. But that's not it. There's actually 3 motorhomes that are going to be given away. And the grand prize is this big one behind me, is the Damon Daybreak RV, and it's a Class A valued at over $100,000. And the grand prize winner is going to get a trip to Homestead to see the crowning of the Camping World Champion.
That is so cool. Also during the event, James Busher and teammate Rick Crawford unveiled the paint scheme James will have on his truck this weekend, the bid for the 2016 Olympics. Busher's helping out, trying to bring the world's biggest sporting event to Illinois' biggest city. Of course, the biggest sporting event in town this weekend, our Camping World Truck Series event. We have Chairman and CEO of Camping World, Marcus Lemonis here.
How are you, Krista?
I am great. This series keeps growing. We have new venues. Here, Chicago, Iowa next weekend. Things are really booming here in the Truck Series.
Well, welcome to my city. This is my hometown and Camping World's hometown. We're glad to have you here tonight, the inaugural race for the Camping World Truck Series.
And talk about destination recreation. I mean, Ray was just giving us kind of the details. Someone's going to Homestead. Someone's winning some pretty cool prizes.
Well, there's over $300,000 of prizes that are going to be given away in the next 4 months.
Wow.
And every week there's going to be a different winner. The neat thing for me is that fans get a really good opportunity to see all the products that we offer. And every week a different product's going to be given away. In Homestead, however, there's going to be a motorhome given away to not only a lucky fan, but the series champion.
Really?
So 2 motorhomes given away, valued at over $100,000. You can go online tonight, campingworld.com/racing. You can't enter tonight, but you can see the products, and starting September 4th, you'll be able to enter.
Very cool.
Now, you can enter, by the way.
I can or
you
I cannot? Okay, so I will not be winning a motorhome, but that's okay. We need to let you go because you have some other duties here tonight. Thank you very much for joining us.
Have a great night.
And that sounds like a great contest. In fact, fans can go ahead and check it more out. It's campingworld.com/racing. Once you register, you'll receive a $5 coupon to use at Camping World retail stores and be eligible for some pretty great prizes. And as Marcus just told us, someone will win a trip to Homestead to see our champion crowned. You know, we talked about the fact that this is the very first Truck Series event here at this track. This used to be actually a premier testing track because with the old testing rules, if you didn't have a race, you could test. So some of these drivers have turned some laps here. You know, we've never raced trucks here at this track, but we have raced in this city. Do you remember when and where? The answers are in the vault.
Welcome to the Chicago Motor Speedway. The date, August 27th, 2000. NASCAR makes its first trip to the Windy City since 1956. Joe Ruttman starts on the pole, but doesn't even lead the first lap thanks to a couple of future Cup Series stars.
Oh, Ruttman gets loose through turn number 4, and he's going to lose the spot as the Killer Bees swarm on either side. It's going to be Biffle leading lap number 1.
After a pit stop to repair right front damage, Ruttman falls from 3rd to 28th.
Ruttman continues to move up. He is up into the 5th position. He was the last truck on the lead lap.
Joe Ruttman has battled his way back to take the race lead.
A late caution causes a green-white checkered finish.
Green flag.
But Ruttman is able to hold off the eventual series champion of the 2000 season and get the win. Flash forward 1 year. The date, August 18, 2001. The location, back at Chicago Motor Speedway, with Joe Ruttman back on the pole. But the big story is the guy starting 5th.
There is a youngster. He is 16 years, 3 months, and 16 days old. Remember the name, Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah, we remembered. Kyle Busch has a chance to make history as the youngest driver ever to win a NASCAR race.
Could Kyle Busch hold on and win in his second ever start in NASCAR? With just 12 laps to go, Kyle Busch has pulled up across the top of the racetrack.
Got to be out of gas. Got to be out of gas.
Unbelievable heartbreak for the 99 of Kyle Busch.
With Kyle out of fuel, Scott Riggs inherits the lead and the win. His last in the Truck Series. Until next time, this has been The Vault.
I love the vault. I also love some of these fun Chicagoland facts. Go ahead and take a look. Some of my favorites, check it out. The height of the grandstands, same as the Navy Pier Ferris wheel. You saw that in some of our opening downtown Chicago scenics. Also, 4 Soldier Fields, the home of the Chicago Bears, can fit inside this infield. No question, it's a big track, and it would be a big win for somebody, possibly the guy standing by with Adam Alexander.
Todd Bodine knows all about qualifying at Chicagoland Speedway. He won the inaugural pole here in the Sprint Cup Series. You've won a nationwide pole here starting 3rd tonight. So what's the key to racing well at this facility?
Well, you know, with these trucks, you know, we pretty much run wide open, and I don't think anybody made any long runs. Of course, Brian Scott's got to walk in front of us. I don't think anybody made long enough runs to know when we're going to have to start lifting, when we're going to, you know, have to slow the pace down. So, you know, the question is how long we're going to run wide open. As long as we run wide open, it's going to be a fast pace.
And Bodine is always one of the good ones at 1.5 miles. The truck he has tonight, the same one that went to victory lane at Texas.
Well, an off-cup weekend for Kyle Busch, but what are you doing? You're out racing everywhere, Montreal and Chicago. Tell me what your expectations are about tonight's race.
Well, we'll see. You know, our Mikasuki Tundra wasn't bad in practice. We worked on it a little bit, trying to get the front end to turn a little bit better, get the splitter down. But, you know, the guys worked hard on it. They had to change an engine overnight. We had problems yesterday with that. So, unfortunately, we feel like we lost a little horsepower tonight. But we'll see what we can do. We'll give it our best, and we'll drive our hearts out and see if we can't win this thing here in Chicago.
Kyle Busch is another one of the guys with a brand new chassis tonight here at Chicago.
Well, Ray, Kyle Busch, and we heard from Todd Bodine, two guys who've been very fast all weekend. So has Chad McCumbee. We told you he's starting second. Well, his best finish was second. That was at 1.5 miles at Lowe's Motor Speedway a few years ago. He almost won a race at Texas 1.5 miles. Tonight, another 1.5 miles. He is certainly due. Keep your eye on McCumbee. Keep your television right where it is. More from Chicago here on Speed, still to come. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series setup is brought to you in part by Camping World's Destination Recreation Sweepstakes. Log on to campingworld.com/racing beginning September 4th and enter for weekly giveaways. Turned 29 earlier this week. He is looking for a birthday present, his first Camping World Truck Series win. Why should you root for TJ? Well, he's a bit of a thrill seeker. He's a veteran wakeboarder, and recently we teamed him up with a professional wakeboarder. Greg Necrason took TJ and our Ray Dunlap out for a ride.
All right, so we're out here at Lake Norman, and I'm stuck between professionals. I've got a professional race car driver, TJ Bell, and professional wakeboarder, Greg Necrason. And I'm not really professional at anything. However, they've got the good look. We've got the hats and the glasses. I've got to go to the store and get my cool stuff. But right now, we're headed to the lake. What do you think about this? Lake conditions look good. You going first?
No, I think you should.
No. No, I got to learn from the pros.
Oh, well, I'll go.
You're first.
All right.
That was big.
Steering wheel's easier to hold on to. Feel pressure against the board, then you're gonna take your front foot, move it forward and push down with your back so the board will come up on top of the wall.
Like this?
Yep.
Let your arms out a little bit. There you go. Now, you're gonna feel the pressure of the boat. Just going just like that, just stand up just like that.
I think I can do it.
All right.
I was like completely sideways.
Yeah, just let the boat do the work. Don't try and stand up. Just let it pull you up.
Nice.
I'm ready for a little break. I was just getting ready to go cut across the lake and make some big moves, and then those little waves come along and knock my stuff down. Now we're about to see some doubles. We're gonna have Greg and TJ going at the same time, and this should be some good stuff. There and they're up. Look at that. I'm thinking 1 or 2 more days of weight training a week. The arm's starting to get a little loose there. Your arms do this. It's part of the reason why I don't do double wakeboarding.
I heard you're going skydiving. Please don't take Ray with you on that venture, okay? TJ Bell, not only good on the water, he's also been good on the track lately, back-to-back top 10. So how do you continue the momentum here tonight?
You know, we didn't qualify as well as we wanted to in this Fieldbyfans.com Toyota Tundra. But we got a really good race truck. You know, it's super consistent. I can run it wide open all night long. So we're just gonna keep going and seeing checkered flags. We had a pretty rough string there going where we weren't seeing checkered flags. So if we keep seeing checkered flags, we'll put this number 11 Red Horse Racing Tundra where it belongs, and that's in the top 10.
He rode the wave on the water, and he'll try to ride the wave to the front here tonight. TJ Bell starting 23rd.
And Adam, there's no question about it. When you start talking about the Chicagoland Speedway, this is a big race tonight for Rick Crawford and International. You got a lot of folks watching tonight. You got a truck good enough to win, Rick?
A lot of folks watching, a lot of folks filling the seats, a lot of family, a lot of employees for Navistar, the International Truck and Engine Company. You know, I haven't won a race in the last 2.5 years, and it'd be really nice to win tonight for International Truck and Engine. And you know, this is probably one of the best trucks we've had this year. Not just say we want to run good in Chicago because it's the home of International Truck and Engine. We want to run good, period. But it just so happens we brought the best one here. So I look forward to tonight. Hope everybody has a great, safe race tonight, and maybe we can come out on top.
All right, we wish you good luck. That is Rick Crawford, and he is starting near the front tonight. Krista?
All right, thanks, Ray. Joliet, Illinois has 2 casinos, a really famous old prison, and claims fame to the first drive-through Dairy Queen. Who is in for a sweet treat tonight? We will put the cherry on top of this setup Sunday when we come back.
The streak may have been broken, but points leader Ron Hornaday still holds the record for the most wins at a new track. See if he can keep the record alive when the trucks head to Iowa Speedway next week. Don't miss a second of the action as the Truck Series makes its first trip to the Hawkeye State. It all starts with the setup at 9:30, only on Speed. Be there.
Heading to my home state next, I can't wait. But still to come this weekend, the nationwide race in Montreal. You can see that on ESPN2 at 2:30. Our Truck Series regulars, Colin Brown and Kyle Busch, they will be there pulling double duty. But you know, before they can hit the road course, they need to focus on left-hand turns here in Chicago. Jake and Elwood were on a mission to put the band back together. Our mission, to crown a first-time Truck Series winner at Chicago. Who will it be? The answer is just around the corner. The EnjoyIllinois.com 225 on Speed starts now.
He pushed me up to the guy in front of him.
Matt's mad now. When he sees the replay, he's really going to be mad.
You know, it started with me, obviously, but, you know, it's pretty pathetic.
51 of Kyle Busch
got contact. I got to get this championship up to teach him a lesson. I hope I don't hurt him.
In fact, there was something going on down there because there are a lot of people shoving each other around. I know that.
David Starr, he's got some enemies on the racetrack right now, and they are going to fight it out.
Just tough trucks, tough drivers, and a tough series. That's all I got to say about it.
Tonight, the true gangsters of NASCAR return to the Windy City. And with them, they bring a breath of dark air to a sport in desperate need of a villain, an underdog, a recluse, and a legend.
The gangster theme from Chicagoland Speedway. Earlier today, we had problems when Matt Crafton stole the pole away from Chad McCumbee. Welcome to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. EnjoyIllinois.com 225 on Speed. Who will be that villain tonight in Joliet, Illinois? Could it be Matt Crafton grabbing his second ever win in the Camping World Truck Series? Well, we're about to find out. We have all the stories and the guys who bring them to him on pit road, Ray Dunlap and Adam Alexander. Ron Hornaday's been on a roll. That might be a story. Let's find out what the stories are on pit road, right?
Well, Rick, whenever you start talking about mile-and-a-half racetracks, you got to talk about Todd Bodine. He's the winningest driver with 10 wins on mile-and-a-halves. And Todd and his fiancée Janet just gave a little bird into my ear that says they're going to get married New Year's Eve. How about that? That's some late-breaking news. Adam?
And one of the big stories this weekend that we have talked about on this setup show, the fact that Kyle Busch and Colin Brown both doing the double racing here in Chicago. and then off to Montreal. And for Colin Brown, he would love to do something that hasn't been done for Jack Roush in NASCAR at Chicago. That's win a race. It's one of 2 tracks where he's not won in the Sprint Cup Series. They've never gone to victory lane in a nationwide car, and tonight in the inaugural trip for the Camping World Truck Series, Colin Brown would like to take the trophy back to the boss. He starts 10th here this evening. Rick?
Colin Brown found victory lane earlier this year at Michigan International Speedway. Can he do it again at Chicagoland? Will he be the inaugural winner of this race? That will be a big trophy to hoist at the end of this one. Let's get the festivities started. We go trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Please rise and remove your hats as the Inspector Instruction Staff, 2nd Battalion, 24th Marines out of Chicago, present our nation's colors. And now please welcome Glenn Spoolstra, Director of Raceway Windy Cities Ministries, as he offers tonight's invocation.
Dear Lord, we just thank you for this beautiful evening. And Lord, we just thank you for the opportunity to gather here and to watch this great spectacle. Lord, we just ask for safety for all of the drivers, all of the crews, and everyone involved tonight. And Lord, we just thank you for this country that you've given us, just for the opportunity to be here and the troops that you've given us to protect us around the world. Lord, just thank you for this evening, and it's in your name that we pray. Amen.
And now, race fans, please welcome Megan Waldman, an 18-year-old from Tinley Park, as she performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Dennis Setzer mouthed it all. Wow. We're about to get underway on the 45th different racetrack for the Camping World Truck Series. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World. Visit Camping World for all your tow, truck, and tire needs. Brought to you in part by Toyota. For the latest Toyota racing information, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, moving forward. And by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Drunk driving, over the limit, under arrest. Welcome back to Chicagoland Speedway. If you missed it, shame on you. That is the setup. Let's get reset up with Krista Voda. She's on pit road.
Yeah, here's what you missed. I am actually up on Matt Crafton's pit box. Why? Because he is the pole sitter. He will lead the field to green, and that makes the storyline even more interesting. Remember, he is the closest in points to Ron Hornaday. Hornaday with his worst qualifying effort of the season. He will start 6th. We have a couple of double-duty drivers in the field. As soon as this race is over, Colin Brown and Kyle Busch will head north, They're racing in Canada, the nationwide race in Montreal. Also, Mother Nature, hard to believe, but she played a factor again yesterday. The teams did not get as much practice time as they had planned, but the most important thing is they are out there ready to get on the track right now. Chicago, home of Oprah. She has Dr. Phil. We have Phil Parsons up in the booth, and because the Cup Series is off, we also have Mikey and Rick Allen as well. And it may be the Windy City, but I know you guys are not full of hot air.
Well, thank you for the reset up there, Krista. I guess we could call you Dr. Phil. You could be a doctor of racing.
Well, maybe, I guess.
We won't go there.
My
Rick
brother was
Allen,
a professor, but I'm
no Dr. Phil? All right, we'll stay away from that. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip with you. We come to the first time ever a Chicagoland race for the Camping World Truck Series. What are we going to expect? Already we've seen some impressive things in qualifying.
We really have. It's amazing, though. These trucks, as Todd Bodine said in the open, run almost wide open. They do run wide open, and how long they don't know yet. But that really brings the field together. We've got 20 trucks that qualified within 1/2 a second of each other. We saw some great side-by-side racing in the ARCA REMAX Series. We're going to see a lot more of that tonight here on this racetrack.
And what I think you're going to have to look for, field tight, when the field is tight and guys are running side by side down in the corners, when you get under another guy, you're going to have a tendency to get loose. We're going to see guys on the bottom of the racetrack struggling for grip down there because the guys on the outside are going to be pinned right to them. That's what I think you're going to have to watch. Can these guys keep these trucks going straight?
There are bumps on the racetrack. We've seen them in 3 and 4. We'll see if that affects racing tonight. Let's get the engines fired. We go for the command.
Chicagoland race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome the chairman and CEO of Camping World, Marcus Lemonis, and his wife, Isla, as they give the command.
Illinois residents, get on your feet. Let's go, make some noise. And help me get this first inaugural race started. Gentlemen, start your engines!
36 trucks come to life, a great crowd on hand for the first ever race at Chicagoland Speedway. Who will be your inaugural winner? We're going to find out. Welcome back to the EnjoyIllinois.com 225 for the Camping World Truck Series here at Chicagoland Speedway. We are expecting great door-to-door racing as they take to the 1.5 miles. 67 degrees the temperature. It is cloudy. Can't see that now. Humidity 90%. Had precipitation in the area earlier, way earlier, and we have had no problems the remainder of the day. The starting grid is going to roll across the bottom of your screen. Matt Crafton holds the track record at Chicagoland Speedway as he grabbed the pole position away from Chad McCumbee earlier today. Want to take a look at our ZMAX track description of this 1.5 miles.
And this is just a great racetrack field. You've got plenty of room to race, a lot of grooves, long straightaways, tons of speed as these trucks barrel off into these corners. But the cool thing is, Rick, you can run down low, you can run through the middle, you can run high. There are some challenges. The bumps have caused guys some problems here today and yesterday.
Want to also take a look at our Royal Purple race analysis. 36 trucks are getting started, and this one's 150 laps, 225 miles.
As you can see, the pit window is somewhere between 55 and 60 laps. That means in a perfect world, if we get a caution around 50 and around 100, it'll be a 2-stop race. It's not always perfect when we run these Camping World trucks.
Under the lights in Joliet, Illinois, we want to shine a spotlight on a few different drivers. We start off with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, when you start looking at drivers in this series, a lot of them come from all over the country. And Mario Goslin's from Florida. He's won on the short tracks in Florida. He's won in the USAR Crew Cup Series. He's also won in the ARCA REMAX Series. But he's never had enough funding to do it the way he wants to here in the Camping World Trucks. But we believe that's all about to change, because today Mario signed a brand new sponsor. They're going to have a big announcement about it at Talladega coming up. And he plans on running in 2010 every single race, racing every week. He's going to go out there and show everybody what he's made of. Adam?
And speaking of funding, Ray, that is something Dennis Setzer needs to continue in 2009. That 8 team has been incredible. Twice they finished second, despite the fact they've not led a lap all year long, and they're 8th in the standings. But as of now, they do not plan to go to Iowa or St. Louis, the series' next 2 races, because of financial issues. They will come back at New Hampshire, but they are indeed looking for a sponsor so they can continue, and they should have a chance because, Phil, they're in the top 10 of the points.
Boy, Adam, they really should. But, Adam, I want to take a look at this number 90 truck right here. This is Brent Sherman in the Great Clips Toyota. He's going to make his 2nd ever Truck Series start. He finished 22nd earlier this year at Memphis in that same truck. He's got a lot of experience here. He's had 2 top 5 finishes here in the ARCA Remax Series, and he's made a couple nationwide starts here. His best finish of 24th in 2005. He's only from about an hour and 20 minutes from here, so he wants to make a good showing in front of the hometown crowd. Brent Sherman will start his race from the 7th position, Mikey.
Phil, check out this truck. The Max Force Diesel Ford is supporting Chicago's bid to host the 2016 Olympic Games. How cool would it be to have the Olympics here in Chicago? It's a cool truck, huh? Cool driver, too. Listen to these accomplishments. He's only 19 years old. He won his first ARCA race when he was 16. Won his first ASA late model race when he was 16. Pole sitter for the nationwide race at Memphis last year. 2 ARCA wins this year, including 1 at Daytona. I'm glad he's only 19. I don't know if I'd ever gotten through all that. By the way, fellas, the decision on who will host the 2016 Olympic Games will be made in 34 days, 9 hours, and about 28 minutes.
That's pretty good math right there. We're going to ride along with a few different drivers. The Toyota onboard of Mike Skinner will start in the 18th position. The 14 Ford onboard of Rick Crawford. He starts in the 5th spot. A good starting spot for Rick Crawford. Timothy Peters Toyota on board will start at the 21st position, and then we'll also ride along with pole sitter Matt Crafton, the number 88. We'll see what kind of a view he has from the front. Our thoughts before green will start with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, a lot of people ask me, how come Ron Hornaday is so good? And I say because he's got an incredible amount of experience. He's got a great crew chief with Rick Wren, and he's got a really great team from Kevin Harvick. Let's take a look at the trucks that they have brought to the racetrack in the last 2 seasons as a debut. When they bring a brand new chassis out, look how good they've been. With 4 wins there, it's an unbelievable record. And tonight, that number 34 chassis debuts here at Chicago. Ron Hornaday with another brand new truck, and I'll tell you what, there's a very good shot that they'll add another win. Adam?
For Kyle Busch, despite the fact that he's young, Ray, his numbers in NASCAR simply amazing. Last weekend, he picked up his 55th career win in NASCAR's top 3 series. He's won at all 3 at 4 different racetracks, and tonight he tries to make Chicagoland the 5th. Check out these numbers in Sprint Cup and nationwide competition here in the Windy City. A pair of wins, over 400 laps led total, and 5 times he's finished in the top 10. Busch rolling off in the top 5 here tonight, and I would be shocked if he's not at the front of the field and a player when this thing wraps up this evening.
Always a player when the Camping World Truck Series hit the track, as well as Ron Hornaday. So who knows who will make it to victory lane tonight? You've got to stick around. Get to the edge of your seat. Everyone here in the crowd is out of their seat, on their feet, ready for the first green flag from Chicagoland Speedway for the Camping World Truck Series. We are underway.
We know Matt Crafton would love to lead that first lap, but look at Kyle Busch looking to make it 3 wide on the outside.
Yeah, and Crafton had McCumbee hang right on that right rear quarter panel. You can't, like I said in the opening, these trucks will get loose down on the bottom, so you got to watch what's going to happen when they go down to turn 3 here for the first time.
Remember the bumps in 3 and 4. We've got 3 wide back there, a ways back.
What a great lap by Matt Crafton. He is able to get ahead of McCumbee and get those all-important 5 bonus points.
3 wide back behind him. Jason White on the outside of the 20. Little contact there.
Looked like Colin Brown the 6th and the 90 of Brent Sherman made a little bit of contact.
Oh, there we go.
There's Brent Sherman. Brent Sherman tries to keep it down on the apron, smoking as he holds it down. Oh, and it looks as though he's going to be able to keep it off of the racetrack. And that means we stay green. So Brent Sherman out of the line, and now the caution will come out.
Caution flies. He couldn't get going.
Yeah, there's another truck stalled on the backstretch. I believe it's Andy Ponstein in the 02. Also stalled on the backstretch. Now Brent Sherman is able to get his truck refired and is on his way down the backstretch.
So early on, the caution flies from Chicagoland Speedway. Matt Crafton with an impressive start. Was able to stay in front of Chad McCumbee.
Great job by Crafton. I would have been really surprised, Phil, if that big glob of trucks could have made more than a couple of 3 laps without somebody doing just what Sherman did. It's just that hard to hold your truck straight down on the bottom of the track.
Remember, this is early, right at the start-finish line. Watch the 90 of Brent Sherman, the 6 of Colin Brown. They're going to make a little bit of contact. I think right about there. Then we go down in turn number 1. Brent has a bad angle getting in the corner. He's on the very bottom. Then you see the bumps getting in 1.
That's all it took. That little bit of his angle just being adjusted because of the contact to the side of his truck by Colin Brown made him in a position when he got down in the middle of the corner. He just didn't have anywhere to go. He had to cut it hard left, and when he did, around come the back.
He had to turn left or we would have run into Colin Brown in the center of the corner. He did a nice job getting that truck down off the racetrack to only involve himself in this.
Very lucky he didn't go back up in front of all the traffic.
There's Timothy Peters, onboard camera, racing with Terry Cook. Watch up ahead of him to the left of your screen. See Brent and Timothy for a moment couldn't see anything.
Timothy's thinking, oh no, please stay to the left.
There's Colin Brown. You can see right up ahead Colin Brown and
right there. They're
going to make a little bit of contact. Now his entry is too shallow into this corner. Now he knows he has to turn that truck left. And unfortunately, when he did, he lost the back end.
And you know, he got himself in a bind. He spun the truck out. But you got to give him a shout out. You got to holler at him for saying, great job of keeping that truck down out of the way. That was a guy that made a mistake, and then he overcome it by getting his truck to the infield and not involving other trucks.
We knew it was going to be exciting. We didn't know how quickly it would get exciting. Second lap, first caution. Welcome back. EnjoyIllinois.com. 2:25 about to restart as the field lines up behind Matt Crafton. Green flag back in the air.
Matt Crafton has the 51 of Kyle Busch right behind him.
Chad McCumbie's dropped back to the third spot. It's Todd Bodine and Ron Hornaday, your top five.
Remember, these guys feel as though they can run wide open for a long time.
All good. Said, we're not sure
on that 07. You're clear by half. You're cool.
Now, we all know, me, you, Rick, Matt Crafton, that Kyle Busch wants to lead this race. He is not going to fool around and ride in second. If he's got any chance at all, he's going to grab that lead away from Crafton. But Matt does a great job, not only on the restart, but keeping his lead for the whole lap.
During the few practice sessions that we saw yesterday and then earlier today, we saw Kyle Busch get sideways, but that's just because that's the way he drives the racetrack.
Let's listen to this corner down here in 3 and 4. See if they run this corner wide open.
You're fine.
That was close. No, that was wide open.
I'd call that wide open. He may have relaxed his foot a little bit, but I'd call that wide open.
And that's what it took to stay ahead of that truck running in second.
Now, we talk about running wide open. Does that put more aerodynamics into this race as far as strategy goes? Running behind somebody to get a run?
That's only going to happen a little while, Rick. They can't run wide open for more than 5, 6, maybe 8 laps at the most, and they'll have to start breathing it. And when the truck in front starts breathing it because he won't handle good down in the center of the corner, the guy in second will go up top. He'll try to find a fresher place on the track to run, maybe leave his gas down longer.
You know, one thing we haven't talked about, we did a little bit during the qualifying show, is how critical drafting is here. These guys right now are running faster than they qualified. Matt Crafton the last lap ran faster than this pole run.
And that is so unusual because when you go to qualify, you blow your tires up full of air. That puts less drag in the tires. You put tape across the front of your truck because you don't have to cool the engine just to run a lap or two. That makes your aerodynamics slicker and makes you faster. But now they're running faster because they're drafting.
Adam Alexander.
And you guys talk about the draft, and that's what made it very difficult for race teams yesterday and today in their practice sessions, figuring out where they were in qualifying trim, because they would set the truck up to qualify, go out, make a run, and they couldn't tell if it was good or if they just got some drafting help. The aerodynamics huge at this wide open speedway, Ray.
And Adam, that's exactly what Taylor Malsom was telling his crew chief, Doug Wolcott. He said, I'm not exactly sure what we need in this setup, but what they did learn was a lot back at Kentucky. Remember that race when Taylor was so good? They figured out a way to get him to be able to go 20 or 25 laps running wide open. Now, he qualified 15th today and hasn't moved forward much, but Doug told me, be ready towards the end of this race. We think our truck's going to be a lot better than the guys that are in front of us because we can hold it wide open.
How about a battle for the lead? Kyle Busch to the inside of Matt Crafton.
Well, that was probably a corner that Matt Crafton did not run wide open down in 1 and 2. That allowed Kyle Busch to get to the inside, and it's going to make that pass.
Look who's hanging right there with those guys battling for the lead. Chad McCumbee hasn't lost a truck link to those guys, right on them. Todd Bodine lurking there in 4th.
Has a great race truck, qualified in the front row. That's a body by Kevin Harvick Incorporated. I was talking to Rick Wren, Ron Hornaday's crew chief. He said that's the exact same truck that we have here, that 07 for Chad McCumbee, and he has a pro motor in there, the same motor that Ron Hornaday has.
Here's a guy that didn't qualify very good, uncharacteristically back almost outside the top 20. But look at him now, raced up to the racing for the 11th spot with Johnny Sauter. That's Mike Skinner down on the inside.
Good move there by Brian Scott to get around the 14 of Rick Crawford.
That puts Brian up to the 7th position. Brian started back in 12th, so a pretty good pickup for him so far.
Still a side-by-side battle here. Mike Skinner and Johnny Sauter. Skinner drops behind Sauter now, Ray.
And guys, remember that big crash that Mike Skinner had at Charlotte where he hit the front stretch? It was awful. That truck was one of their newest pieces of equipment. Well, the one he's got tonight is their brand newest one. It's 105, and it's the sister to that truck that they ran at Charlotte. And Skinner said he loves the way it gets off of the corner. He thinks they've got something for tonight. Adam?
And Mike Skinner, year in and year out, Ray, is one of the best drivers at mile-and-a-half racetracks, and a guy who's responsible for bringing him a lot of success. Crew Chief Jeff Hensley, who is now with the driver you see on screen, Brian Scott. This is a team that was very good here in practice on Thursday. In fact, they were so good, they didn't even go out in the final half hour. They are confident tonight in showing how good they are. They moved from 12th to 7th in less than 15 laps.
That's the same truck that Brian Scott ran so well with the Kentucky, ended up cutting down the right front tire and making hard contact with the wall. That's that same vehicle.
Brian Scott still racing with the brace, with the cast on his right wrist. He broke his right wrist early in the season and trying to keep the good times rolling here in the Camping World Truck Series. The guy out front running away right now is Kyle Busch. He's got 1.2 seconds over Matt Crafton in second. September 6th on Speed NASCAR Race Day rolls into Atlanta. Only 2 races to go before NASCAR's Chase JR, Jimmy, Kenny, Wendy, and Hermie get you revved up for a night race with serious championship implications. Don't miss NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, September 6th at 5 Eastern. Caution comes out for the second time. NASCAR saying debris, and there it is on the racetrack.
I see the 10 of James Busher on pit road. That may be where that piece of tire came from.
I think it is. I believe he's got a flat tire, Phil. Part of his tire fell off.
So slowed for the second time this evening.
I think it's a good heads-up move for James Busher to come down pit road. He obviously pitted too early. Pit road was not open yet. But he knows with a lucky dog, he's got a pretty good truck. There's a good chance he can get his lap back. And there's no sense taking a chance for that flat tire to ruin the bodywork on that truck.
That's a great point, Phil. Just take your medicine right now. Get your tire changed. Don't mess up your truck, and you can race back. We watched James come from the lucky dog to a top 10 finish. Heck, I think he even might have gotten the lucky dog at Milwaukee, where he finished in the top 5. So he's used to coming from behind.
Already off the racetrack, Andy Ponstein, Johnny Chapman, Mario Goslin, Nick Tucker, Ryan Matthews, and Brandon Nupp.
Pit road is open here, Rick. We're going to see if some of these guys may head towards pit road. 20 laps into this thing. Looks like a lot of them are coming. Maybe all of them.
Here comes the field onto pit road, Adam.
Let me pick it up, Rick, because I'm down at the end where Chad McCumbee will hit the pit road first. They decided they wanted to get fuel in this thing to make sure they were in the fuel window. No tires this time. It'll be one stop for the 07 of Chad McCumbee. Adam?
Kyle Busch will also come on to pit road. It'll be 4 tires. They will come back for fuel. A slight track bar adjustment for him to help what is a very slight loose handling race car. Fuel only in the early going for Matt Crafton. He too said he was loose, but they said no adjustments. He will fix it by the way he drives the truck. It goes Crafton, then Hornaday, McCumbee off of pit road.
We saw the 14 of Rick Crawford following those 3 off.
Yeah, a lot of strategy there. You look at all those trucks that gained positions.
That means they went on to a different strategy than some of the other guys.
Absolutely. Huh? We know Kyle Busch put 4 tires on, and there he is back in the 10th position off pit road.
This week on Big Block Thursday, Speed churns out the horsepower with Pink's All Out at 8. Ride shotgun with the Wolfpack on Jacked at 9. And relive the meanest recoveries on an all-new Rack at 10. Don't miss Big Block Thursday beginning at 8 Eastern on Speed.
I'm not surprised these guys came and got gas. A little surprised they took some tires. What about you?
Yeah, I am too, and I would think that Kyle Busch now will come back in to get fuel, so he came off pit road that first time around 10th, and he will lose more than likely a lot of that a lot of that track position when he comes back for fuel.
Isn't it fun to have Richie Waters and Kyle Busch back?
I was getting ready to say, you guys are going to question Richie Waters.
Oh, we know better than that.
No, we've learned that, but it's fun to see them back together because we're going to mix some things up tonight. Kyle Busch on pit road for tires, while the majority of the top 10 just got him a little gas during that stop.
Here we go. Kyle is going to lead this group down pit road. A lot of these trucks are following him back down there, Ray.
Yeah, an interesting strategy here where different guys doing different things, but on my end we see Colin Brown coming back down. Of course, they did 4 tires on that first round of pit stops. They'll get fuel in their Conway Ford right now. Adam, how about things at your end?
Well, the good thing about this, Ray, is we're going to have a number of guys restarting deep in the field, and we can watch them rally through here at Chicago. You just see the track bar adjustment being made for Kyle Busch. That to help his loose handling condition. He pulls away, and he will beat Todd Bodine as they exit the pit lane. Then it's Brian Scott and Colin Brown.
So just over 10 trucks, around 10 trucks coming back onto pit road. The rest staying out on the field. The Aaron's lucky dog goes to Norm Benning in the 57. He'll get a lap back, and we'll be right back. 16th race of the 2009 season. EnjoyIllinois.com. 225 at Chicagoland Speedway for the first time. Camping World Truck Series. A great crowd on hand.
Oh, look at that crowd of Friday night here in Chicago. The weather was a little touch and go all day, but nice now.
Some of us really had confidence that we were going to get this race in without the rain. Some of us did.
You know, we talked earlier, Phil, the practice that these guys did all went down with cloudy, overcast conditions. So the conditions they practiced in simulated a whole lot like what they're racing in now. That's good for the teams.
We saw 67 degrees outdoor temperature when this race started.
Ron Hornaday right on the back bumper of Matt Crafton. Those two 1 and 2 on the points. Let's see if Hornaday gets a good restart. Green flag back in the air.
Top 12 trucks stayed on the racetrack, only made 1 pit stop during the caution period.
Mike Skinner moves to the inside, trying to get by Rick Crawford. They're door to door. They go down the backstretch. Skinner drops back. Crawford able to move forward. Jason White now on the outside of the 5.
Dennis Setzer, the 8 truck, right behind that 23 of Jason White. Ricky Carmichael's in that battle, as well as the 81 of Taylor Malsom, the orange and white truck.
McCumbee trying to get by Hornaday now for second. Chad McCumbee to the outside of that 33. McCumbee with a run now takes second away from Ron Hornaday.
Hornaday fights back.
Hornaday makes his way back around McCumbee. Now McCumbee comes under attack from Rick Crawford. You get to racing side by side, you lose your momentum a little bit, and that's what happened to McCumbee there.
Oh, Crawford got a little bit loose, had to chase the truck up the hill. Fortunately, got in behind the 07 of McCumbee.
See that black truck over there to the right, about 2 from the end of that big pack? That's Kyle Busch. He came in, got tires. He's marching his way back through these guys.
There's Todd Bodine at the very end of that pack behind the 81 of Taylor Malsom. He's another one of the trucks that made 2 pit stops, has tires.
I don't think Todd liked his truck real well because he had fallen back somewhat. He used that lap 20 pit stop to make some adjustments. Kyle Busch was leading the race. Really not 100% sure why they would have pitted there, but Richie did, and I'm going to go with him on it.
Ricky Carmichael there in the 4, trying to move around Dennis Setzer in the 8. And again, Kyle Busch in the 51, just behind Carmichael.
You know, these trucks up front are running really fast laps. Not a whole lot unlike they did at the very beginning at the race. Watch Kyle Busch here right of your screen. This is a replay. He was up high. Skinner's faded to the outside. Then Kyle just drove by him on the inside.
Skinner said, I think I like that line you're running, Kyle. And Kyle said, well, I'll take the one you've got then, Mike. If you want to swap, I don't care. But Ricky Carmichael's holding tough on the outside. Kyle's been up under him for a lap.
Trying to get by that 4 of Ricky Carmichael.
I like it when these guys put tires on and they just don't automatically drive by these other trucks. That means Goodyear has a good tire here, a very fast, durable race tire.
Now Kyle Busch has gotten by Ricky Carmichael. He sets his sights on the 8 of Dennis Setzer. This will be a battle for the 6th spot. Is there any contact here between these two?
Let's keep an eye on it. Looks like there was a little bit of contact right there with the 4 of Ricky Carmichael.
Very close call for Kyle Busch and Ricky Carmichael. Now Kyle trying to get by that 8, but looks like he might be backing up. Adam, any problems with him?
He has not talked about any problems on the radio other than that loose condition we chronicled during that cycle of pit stops. And we talk about different pit strategies here tonight, and the one advantage to coming in early is the fact that you can go fuel only late in the race should you make a pit stop, and all these teams had 3 sets of tires waiting on them. This is a race you could do on 2 stops, so they still have 2 sets of tires waiting should they want to come 2 more times. And there's Brian Scott.
Brian Scott into the infield.
A lot of damage. He may have got loose up off the corner. Possibly got him.
Back deck gone from the 16, folded in.
Man, I can hold on to this thing.
Well,
we don't need to wreck it because we're loose. Just hang on. We had a long way to go there, bud. I think I tried to wreck.
And now Brian Scott stuck on the infield grass. He just came on the radio and said, it is so loose, I cannot drive it. And Jeff Hensley came back and said, we don't need to wreck it. We got to hang on to it. A long way to go. Perhaps a little bit of impatience costing Brian Scott an opportunity tonight. Heavy damage on that Albertsons Toyota.
And you also heard Brian Scott come back and say, you think I'm trying to wreck it? It's frustration for sure with this team.
Ooh, just got loose and ran out of the racetrack up off of 4 there. Brian had made his way up into the top 5 in points. Actually took over the 4th position last week at Bristol. This is going to really hurt.
It's going to hurt for sure, but I believe they can still get it patched back together, Phil, and get back out there and make some laps, but certainly not going to be anything like it was.
He talked earlier today about how good he thought this race truck was. That's pretty significant contact with the wall.
You see when it came into the picture, he was really loose. The right rear corner caught the wall and swung the right side, right front over into the wall.
For the Albertsons Toyota Tundra, going to have to go to pit road, and Hensley's men will have to go to work on that one.
It's Camping World's Destination Recreation.
You know, when you're going up and down the highway in one of these big RVs, you need as much information as possible. And I want to know as the driver that I've got good tire pressure and excellent temperatures. Now, this little unit right here will give me all that information. You see, the receiver stays up in the cockpit by you, but on each and every one of the tires, you put this little sending unit right on the end of the valve stems, and it takes the information back to that receiver. Now, of course, you'll notice that we've got Goodyear tires on this RV. Of course, they're the official supplier of NASCAR. And when you come to Camping World, they've got every size Goodyear tire you could possibly need.
Silhouettes of race fans in the infield here. Maybe that's a Camping World RV that they're on top of. We'll be right back with more of the EnjoyIllinois.com 225. Beginning Friday, September 4th, make sure to go to campingworld.com/racing to get involved in the sweepstakes and giveaways. Again, weekly giveaways for Destination Recreation Sweepstakes.
They send you a $5 coupon just for entering.
Yeah, you can go in there now actually and look and see what they're going to have, but you can't register until September the 4th. But did you hear Marcus Lemonis, a fan and the driver, the champion driver of our series, are going to get free motorhomes at
motorhomes, a Class A motorhome. Yeah. That is impressive.
Over $300,000 worth of prizes for a month or so. That's just awesome.
James Busher got a prize.
Here's
right
another
here.
gift.
Did you understand that that he was going to be patient, get his tires, and eventually he'd get a lap back from Aaron?
You see no body damage. He had a flat tire. He came right to pit road, didn't take a chance of riding around the racetrack and tearing up the bodywork.
He's back in the game. And did you see the back of the bid? How fun would it be to have the 2016 Olympics right here in Chicago?
I think we would need to come to that.
Definitely. Hopefully it might be around a race here at the Speedway. Or maybe they could have some of the events here. A new 1.5-mile run.
I think they'd have track and field events at a 1.5-mile racetrack as opposed to the quarter miles that they normally run on.
Yeah, that'd be like.
It'll be a change.
It'd be different.
It'll be a change.
Yeah. Like
they could do a marathon here.
6
run a
times
bunch
bigger.
of laps. Run a bunch of laps.
It took you a while to do the math, but I know you were all over it.
Luckily, I don't have shoes on. I had to use those. I had to count up.
Matt Crafton's going to lead the field back to the green flag. Hornaday just behind him. McCumbee, Crawford, and Jason White are your top 5. And we're back underway at Chicagoland Speedway.
Man, if Matt Crafton is going to make ground on Hornaday and win this championship, he's doing just what he needs to do right now.
How about Kyle Busch dive to the inside of Jay White? And now he's going to look underneath the 14 of Rick Crawford.
Crawford moves up the racetrack.
Here comes Hornaday on the inside of Crafton.
This is for the lead. Ron Hornaday trying to take it away from Crafton.
Crafton really needs, not only does he, if he can just continue to lead the race, he'd keep Ron from getting 5 points, but he can't do it. Hornaday takes the lead.
Hornaday's going to get those 5 bonus points right here, but he's got to keep his eye on the rearview mirror because here comes Kyle Busch. He'll take second away from Matt Crafton.
Kyle Busch restarted the race in 6th 1 lap ago, and he took over 2nd before he got to the start-finish line.
So Kyle Busch now hugging that bottom line through 1 and 2 down the backstretch, a big run trying to get by the 33 of Hornaday.
There's a big wad of trucks back there. You see the 5 of Mike Skinner, the 30 of Todd Bodine. There's Ricky Carmichael, the 4 on the outside.
Remember a year ago, Kyle Busch won at California, then he won at Atlanta, and then he went back and won at Bristol. But that was the last time he won in 2008. Kyle Busch is trying to change history this year.
He did the same thing this year, 2009, the exact same races he won. But we have a lot of racing to go yet.
A lot to go. Kyle Busch is going to take the lead away from Ron Hornaday.
Looked like Hornaday got a little bit tight off the second corner. His truck lost the nose and slid up high, and Kyle Busch was right there to jump on him, take the lead.
And this is the difference between having fresh tires. Remember, Kyle Busch was one of the guys that came in, put tires on lap number 22. Let's take a look back at how that pass happened. See Ron Hornaday. Looks like he looks good so far, just now exiting the corner. Then he wiggled a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Had to chase the truck up the hill. I don't think he made any contact, but he lost all his momentum.
It's Matt Crafton's view.
He watches Hornaday slide up out of the way. Kyle Busch grabbed the lead. You know, you talk, Phil, about fresh tires on the 51 truck driving the lead. Well, remember, Todd Bodine pitted right behind him, and Todd's only been able to make it back up to the 7th spot. So it's a combination of fresh tires on the 51.
And a good truck.
And a darn good truck, and a cat behind the wheel that just is determined to lead every lap that they're going to run.
Double A, what are you hearing on pit road?
Could the move by Kyle Busch and the wiggle by Ron Hornaday been a calculated situation for Kyle, loosening him up, getting behind him? Because Ron came on the radio and said, I just got so loose, and Rick Wren, the crew chief, said, yeah, he got right up behind you.
Yeah, quite possibly. You know, you want to pass the guy whatever way you can, and when these trucks are running close to wide open, Kyle Busch, only advantage he had was to put a little pressure on Ron and see if he could get him a little bit free, get him wiggling, get him up out of the groove, and he drove right by him.
You know, and Ron he sees himself chasing Kyle Busch. In the four of the 5 races that he won in a row, Kyle wasn't there. And Ron's heard a lot about that. Yeah, you won 5, but Kyle wasn't around. And I know Ron Hornaday, and I know he's tired of hearing it. And he would like nothing better than to win this race and put Kyle Busch away doing it.
Quiet all the naysayers.
Yeah.
And you got a great battle right here. Ricky Carmichael, Johnny Sauter, there's David Starr. And it's also Rick Wren's job to tell Ron Hornaday, don't worry about it. He has fresh tires. We have a long way to go. We have 1 more set of tires in our pits than he does.
And he's not going anywhere. He was able to get around you when he got sideways, but he hasn't gone anywhere. He's just a few truck lengths ahead of Ron.
Bodine and Brown running 6th and 7th on the racetrack. Let's go back down to Ray Dunlap.
You know, Rick, I think it's very interesting when we look at our running order. Of course, Kyle Busch out front, but then when you go 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all of those trucks on the racetrack have a tie to Kevin Harvick Racing. And how about the great run that Jason White has been having with this Gunbroker.com team? These guys have been on a roll. He was out front so much there at Bristol, led the most laps at that racetrack, and tonight running 5th again in a truck that he had some body work done from KHI. And I'm just very, very impressed with Jay White and the run they've been having the last 3 or 4 races.
Well, we talked to him, Phil, down in the garage area, and he said, I'm probably not going to qualify all that great, maybe 10th or 15th, but when the race starts, I'm going to be good. He qualified better than he thought, and I bet he's in the top 5 sooner than he thought he would be.
Yeah, he qualified up in the top 10 in the 9th position, but Jason White has continued to impress this entire season, been very, very consistent, has had some great finishes. As you mentioned, probably his best race was last week at Bristol, had a tire going down towards the end of the race, and that kept him from a good, strong top 10 finish.
Kyle Busch with an 1/8 of a second lead over Ron Hornaday. So the Toyota Tundra being chased by 3 Chevrolets, Hornaday, Crafton, and McCumbee. And then you've got Jason White, his Dodge, running in the 5th spot. The first race at Chicagoland Speedway. We're a third of the way from the checkered flag. Kyle Busch is out front. Tomorrow, the Rolex Sports Car Series races north of the border into Canada, where NASCAR's Carl Edwards, Marcos Ambrose, they're teaming up for their first ever Daytona prototype race. Don't miss the excitement. It's the Rolex Sports Car Series live from Montreal tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
I'm going to be tuned into that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could be a little bit of rain up there. Those cars are fun to watch. Seeing the NASCAR connection there with Marcus and Carl being a part of it.
70% chance of rain tomorrow up in Montreal. So the Nationwide cars get on the racetrack first thing in the morning for practice in their qualifying session later on tomorrow.
The naysayers said there was an 80% chance of rain about the time of the start of this race, and I don't think we've seen any precipitation yet.
Look at there, 3 wide. Look at the run that David Starr had around the top. Wow.
Oh, and a little loose now after he gets by.
That's because he's going so fast.
He had a run. I mean, we talk about drafting at Daytona Talladega and what kind of a run you get. You get the same kind of a run here, and that was witness of it right there. It was David Starr getting such a good pull when those trucks were side by side.
Now he's loose.
Now he's loose, and he's going to get B3 right in the middle.
Adam, what's that 24 team talking about?
Well, we should mention that at lap 21 and 22, when they came down pit road, that caution, a big break for David Starr because he had a tire going down. And keep in mind, entering this race, he was in the top 5 in points. And to add on the comment that Phil and Michael just made about these trucks looking like they're racing at Daytona and Talladega, the spotter traffic very similar to that as well. When a driver will pull out a line and make a move, the spotter will not only tell him where he is in relation to the truck he is racing with, but he will also talk about who's coming with him, and that is very important as far as the draft is concerned, Ray.
And Adam, I would agree with you. Spotters certainly very important, but so are the crew chiefs. And I want to give a big call out to a crew chief down on the very end of pit road, and his name is Bobby Dotter. Actually, he's general manager of all of S&S Greenlight Racing, and he's a big part of getting Chad McCumbee to this level and keeping him in this form of racing. You know, Bobby was born right in this area, actually up by Chicago O'Hare Airport. Grew up here. His father raced on the short tracks all throughout Chicago and ran in the ARCA REMAX series for years. But Bobby, who also competed in the Nationwide series for a long, long time, calling the shots today, and he's got McCumbee strongly in the top 5. Adam?
Kyle Busch is leading this race in dominating fashion. Todd Bodine on the exact same pit strategy. So why has he not been able to get closer to the front than 6th? Very, very tight on exit, the word from the driver, and he also said about 6 laps ago he's feeling a vibration. We will keep our eye on Bodine.
You know, we talk about how competitive this race was going to be with these guys running virtually wide open. 2 laps ago, the top 7 trucks in the running order were separated by less than 1/10 of a second on that lap as far as their lap times.
And the top 3 all ran within 100th of one another. So they're close.
Yeah, they're very close, not only on the racetrack, but on the stopwatch here that we have in the booth as well. You know, the problems for Brian Scott, he's actually off the racetrack right now. They're working on his truck behind the wall. He brought up the most recent caution, so extensive damage to that truck. Mikey Kyle also off of the racetrack. Brent Raymer.
Jason White continuing to do a great job, Rick, staying in that top 5 there. We know that Todd Bodine and Colin Brown both put tires on lap number 22, but Jason White able to stay in front of those guys.
Let's check out these speeds at the line. We talk about what we see here in the booth. You can see the 2nd place truck of Hornaday outran our leader, Kyle Busch. This has just been teetering back and forth. Kyle got him a bit of a lead, but Ron has been able to outrun him on a lot of laps.
I tell you, look at that Johnny Sauter truck running in the 9th position, a 13 truck. The last several laps, he's been consistently very, very fast, almost as fast as Hornaday that very lap.
Top 20, we've got 24 on the lead lap. Ricky Carmichael just in front of David Starr. David Starr, we've seen the momentum that David Starr has been able to carry into the turns, but then had a handful once he got there.
Again, that time by Phil, you talked about Johnny Sauter. He was the fastest truck again. So he's making some good headway, but unfortunately, quite a far, like 9 seconds behind our leader, so he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, 57 laps into this 150 lap race. We know we're going to have another, a couple more rounds of pit stops here, so a lot can happen as we see David Starr try to take over that spot from Ricky Carmichael. That is a battle for the 13th position.
Let's see if he can hold it on the bottom of the track. That's been the problem for David Starr. He moves right up in front of the 4 of Ricky Carmichael, so he'll take that position away.
Now, Goodyear generally builds a set of tires to last you for a fuel run. These guys that are up front, except for Kyle Busch and Todd Bodine, they're going to ask their tires to go a fuel run plus 20 more laps. Do you think there's going to be some concern?
I think there's going to be some concern. I asked Rick Wren, Ron Hornaday's crew chief, that very question because of our pit roll rules here. I said, is this a situation? How far do you think these tires will go? He said, well, I think they'll go 60 or 70 laps for sure. Well, we're on the verge of completing 60 laps right here. We've had a few caution laps, but nonetheless, these guys are putting a lot of laps on these tires. And remember, these are the same tires that they qualified on, so they had another 3 laps there.
Here comes Todd Bodine. This is to take 5th away from Jason White. Todd Bodine strong in final practice, and now he makes the move by Jason White. Takes it away. We're hearing that there might be some problems with Matt Crafton. Is that true, Adam?
The word on the radio, vibration on the front end. He just came on the radio, asked crew chief Bud Hafley how many laps until we pit. They communicated about that. He's trying to hang on, but a tough situation here for the 88 bunch.
Phil, I believe I might be a whole lot like James Buescher. I might just say, okay, I think I can pit. They're going to pit in a little while anyway, and maybe if I get caught, I can get that Aaron's free pass and get back on the lead lap. I can't tear this truck up right now. I'm too close to Ron Hornaday in this championship battle to take a chance.
And know that if he comes down pit road right now and puts tires on, that he can the next time if the caution flag were to come out, he didn't even catch him a lap down, he probably would only have to make 1 stop for fuel for the fuel.
I like, because of the rules and the way the races now play out with the free pass and the dual pit stops you have to make, I don't want to take a chance. I want to come get me some tires on that 88 truck right now.
Ray Dunlap.
Well, guys, if you look a little further back in the field, you'll see Taylor Malsom and the number 8 of Dennis Setzer. Those are 2 trucks on my end of pit road that are on that different set of cycles that you were talking about. The first round of pit stops happened at lap 21 and 22 when most of those guys that you're talking about came for fuel. But on lap 32, that's when the 81 and the 8 came in. They're trying to do something different than whatever the leaders are doing. So if we do see green flag round of pit stops, you'll watch those trucks stay on the racetrack for a while.
Taylor Malsom up on the high side. Terry Cook down below. And out in front, Kyle Busch. I know you've heard that quite a bit. 2-second lead over Ron Hornaday. Matt Crafton complained about the vibration. He runs 3rd. Chad McCumbee 4th. Todd Bodine rounding out our top 5. Hey, Digger fans, you can now get Digger on your computer and get free Digger videos, wallpapers, games, and more. Visit digger.ask.com today. Still underway. Green flag racing.
Cute little thing, whatever. Is that a gopher?
It is a gopher.
That's Digger.
Digger. Kyle Busch holding on to the top spot. 2.6 seconds the lead now over Ron Hornaday.
I don't think we're very far away from some of these guys making some pit stops. The guys that pitted back on that lap 21, lap 22 caution. We've had a few caution laps after that for that lap 32, lap 33 area, 4 caution laps. So I think these guys are probably within about 7 to 10 laps of coming down pit road, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and I believe that's going to be the most welcomed set. When those 7 or 10 laps are over, Matt Crafton's going to be the happiest guy here. He thinks he's got a tire problem. He's riding it out right now. He lost 3 spots 2 laps ago. He's fallen all the way back to the 8th position, and his times are basically a second off of our leaders right now.
The guy that also had the same pit strategy, Todd Bodine, has moved up to the 3rd spot now.
And you would think those guys like Kyle Busch and Todd Bodine, Colin Brown, those guys that put tires on lap number 21, they could probably do fuel only here. You know, some of these other guys that didn't pit at all, they may be thinking, man, we're going to need some tires. We know we need fuel, but we're going to need some tires too.
Well, Matt Crafton has to make 2 stops. He's going to have to come in and get tires. He's going to have to come back and get gas. There's no way around it. Kyle Busch, on the other hand, can get can get just his gas and stay out there for a little while longer. Eventually, he'll need to come and get some tires, but he'll find himself trapping guys on pit road. And the first guys to come here leading the race is Matt Crafton.
Matt Crafton now makes his way onto pit road. He complained about the vibration at the front end, so they need fuel and tires. That'll be 2 separate stops for Matt Crafton. Adam Alexander.
And he complained about being free on that first run of the night. They did not make an adjustment, and as you guys pointed out, did not get tires when they pitted at lap 21. So 4 sticker tires as they make their green flag stop at lap 72. They will have to obviously come back for fuel, and they will make an adjustment. The good news for Crafton, he didn't have a tire issue, despite the fact he was having a vibration. The first set of this cycle is complete for the 88.
Yeah, he was thinking he could blow one of those tires out. That was probably why he'd slowed down so much. Now he needs to run some laps, Rick, and hopefully have enough gas to where Kyle Busch and some of these leaders have to pit so he doesn't lose that second lap and then get caught by a caution. The lucky dog won't do him any good if he goes 2 down, I don't believe.
So Matt Crafton 1 lap down. We've got another truck making his way onto pit road. Jason White, the 23. We see Crafton getting back up to speed now on the racetrack. Ray Dunlap.
Loose in is the call from Jason White. They're going to make air pressure adjustments. Guys are going around here to do the right side. It'll be a right front. They'll make an air pressure adjustment to try to get his truck to go in a little bit better. I expect Chad McCumbee to come to pit road next time, and we're also keeping an eye out for Colin Brown.
Just on cue, the 07 makes his way onto pit road. Ray Dunlap.
McCumbie's coming in here. They're going to throw fuel in this thing. Bobby Dotter said what we've got to do is get back to the racetrack quickly. Lots and lots of fuel going in. They'll need the second can for sure. Guys looking over the tires on this side saying everything looks good. On the right side, plenty of fuel in that ASI Limited Chevy, and McCumbie back to the racetrack.
Looked almost kind of like a casual departure, didn't it?
It did.
Got his gas, and they said, okay, you can go down. He left.
45-mile-an-hour pit road speed. Seems like an eternity.
Crawling on pit road.
You know, we talked about Crafton's problems with his tires. Ron Hornaday has continued to ride along in that second spot. He's on the same strategy as Crafton, so it hasn't bitten Ron. It's just that, remember at ORP how far Skinner's truck went off in the middle of the race when his tires didn't feel right to him? I think about the same thing must have happened to Crafton.
Kyle Busch continuing to lead. Here comes Ron Hornaday. He was running second. He makes his way onto pit road. So he will have service done to the 33 Chevy Silverado. He's got a long way to go before he gets to his pit stall. And Adam will help us with that. Adam.
And the only thing he has complained about is being loose when he was racing at the front of the pack with Kyle Busch. Other than that, he's been very quiet since coming in for fuel back at lap 21. They will begin this cycle of pit stops under green with 4 tires. They will have to come back for fuel in just a couple of laps. Flawless service on the right side for Hornaday. Left side looks good as well. He will pull away, and we're a couple of laps from seeing the leader Kyle Busch in for fuel.
Few more trucks slowing down. We see Ricky Carmichael making his way onto pit road. Kyle Busch staying out on the racetrack. Ray Dunlap.
Carmichael, another one of those trucks that's fighting a little bit loose in. You know, in practice yesterday, he said he really felt like the left rear tire was not into the racetrack. He was worried a little bit about getting too loose. And when he got around in traffic real tight with other people's, he said he felt like it got real jittery on him. So right now they're going to make air pressure adjustments for him. We also see the 5 of Mike Skinner making pit stops right now. We expect a number of trucks on my end to be in within the next round or 2. You see him cleaning off the grill on that PC Myler Toyota, putting plenty of fuel in for Skinner. I think they're going to do fuel only here, no plan for tires.
This is a big pit stop for Matt Crafton. You see coming in behind Skinner. He's making his second pit stop. He has to have gas. Obviously, they've got to the point where he's going to need some gas. What he doesn't need is the caution to fall now. It could possibly lose him the championship. It could be so critical at this moment. If the caution flag falls, he'll be so far down he can't get it back.
Adam.
And they had told Ron Hornaday when he came in, go back out for 2 or 3 more laps before you return for fuel. For Crafton, the fuel stop going to come at lap 79. And as you guys pointed out, the last thing he wants to see is the caution flag. And meanwhile, Kyle Busch's crew continues to wait on the 51, and here he comes now. Now, he did get tires. He will get fuel only here, Ray.
Down on the track bar, that's going to be the adjustment for Rick Crawford down here. He is going to go down on that track bar to try to tighten his truck up very loose through the center. Adam?
Lap 80 when Kyle Busch gives up the lead and comes to pit road for fuel only. When he came down at 21 and 22, he also got tires. Track bar is what they've done as far as an adjustment, trying to tighten him up. And now Todd Bodine, the new leader, will wait and see when the 30 comes in. Ron Hornaday just misses Kyle Busch as he comes in for fuel at lap 81.
So Hornaday on pit road. They're topping it off with fuel. Matt Crafton and Todd Bodine out on the racetrack. Matt Crafton again scored a lap down, 2 laps down. But that's all going to change as we continue through the pit cycle.
Matt's getting closer and closer to this deal working out for him and him not giving away a whole bunch of position or laps.
Ray Dunlap.
Brian Carr packing in the fuel on the Conway Ford here. They got 1 2/3 can in that one for sure, if not all of it. Lots of fuel for Colin Brown right here, and he's going back to the track, not planning on returning for tires.
TJ Bell in the 11 on pit road, as well as the 24, David Starr. Mike Skinner back on pit road in the 5.
Everybody's
Adam Alexander.
Back-to-back top 10s for TJ Bell. He started 23rd tonight, but has been very impressive. He, on this cycle of stops, will come down and get fuel only, and I think they're concerned that the 11 may be out of fuel. They're putting in a second can. Meanwhile, a distance behind him on pit road, David Starr is in for service. They are taking tires, despite the fact when they came in at laps 21 and 22, they also got tires there. TJ Bell out of fuel. This is going to kill his chances for a 3rd consecutive top 10.
67 laps remaining in this one. So on the outside edge, obviously, of the fuel window if they make it all the way. And here's Terry Cook on pit road now. Some major adjustments to the chassis there as they pump it full of fuel.
You talked about being on the outside edge of the fuel, but I think a lot of these teams will look at how well Ron Hornaday ran all the way through that first set of tires and maybe use some strategy if the caution flies again, get some gas and be done with pitting.
Todd Bodine slowing on the racetrack. He'll make the hard left turn, coming on to pit road as well, so he will relinquish the lead. Eric Almirola also on pit road. You see him in his pit stall as they top that off with fuel, right?
Well, guys, their problem on this truck is they're trying to coil bind on the right side, but not on the left. And as he rolls through the corners in turns 3 and 4, hitting those bumps, he says that both of the coils are bouncing, and it just makes the truck jump all over the place. So not very happy with the front end on that number 15. Adam?
Todd Bodine has been fairly solid tonight. Loose on the first run of the evening. They made a chassis adjustment. He said he was tight on this run. A slight adjustment here of the chassis. They will also top off with fuel. And as you see him exiting right side of your screen, he will drag race with David Starr off of pit road, who was back down for his fuel in this green flag cycle. That puts Timothy Peters at the top of the board.
So Timothy Peters now leading at Chicagoland Speedway. Todd Bodine on pit road, relinquished that top spot. Dennis Setzer moves to second now.
I know we had a few caution laps in there, but Todd Bodine ran 63 laps on that tank of fuel. Now, he pitted on lap number 84. That left 66 laps left to the end of the race. By the time he got off pit road, he may be able to stretch this thing. He may be looking at not having to stop anymore.
But again, what's the possibility of going another 63 laps without a caution?
Pretty slim.
Pretty slim, but we'll have to wait to find out. So, pit stops cycling through. Timothy Peters in front of the field. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Touch of Gray. Gets rid of some gray, never all. Brought to you in part by Camping World's Destination Recreation Sweepstakes. Log on to campingworld.com/racing beginning September 4th and enter for weekly giveaways. And by Royal Purple. Visit royalpurple.com to find a dealer near you. Take a look at our race summary from Chicagoland Speedway. Kyle Busch back out front now as pit stops have cycled through. 7 different leaders changing hands 9 times up front. Average speed over 131 miles an hour.
Well, we had a number of drivers that were vulnerable doing that round of green flag pit stops, but looks like everybody has made at least one pit stop. The guys that needed fuel obviously had to get fuel.
That's the key, Phil. Most of our championship contenders, front-running trucks, have found themselves just one lap down. Ron Hornaday started this process running second. He is now a lap down because Kyle Busch only made one stop. Now what will happen is that gives Hornaday, Kraft, and those guys a chance to race for the lucky dog, which puts them back in business if Kyle Busch doesn't pit for a while and they stay a lap down. So you couldn't be 2 down right now and think you could still win this race, but you could be 1 lap down right now and have a chance at the end.
And remember, Kyle Busch stayed on the racetrack. We see some great racing here with Eric Almirola, the 15 truck, leading that battle. Remember, it was only 20 laps less that Kyle Busch had in his tires than these other guys. So, you know, it's reasonable to expect those tires to fall off a little bit when we get a few more laps on them.
I like having tires right now and being done with that, because when the caution flies, and we think it will.
It's possible.
It usually does, but when it flies, you can just come in, even if you need gas. You might not even need gas.
Got to spin off a fork.
And there's potentially that caution we're talking about. Ricky Carmichael sliding off of turn 4. Caution comes out. There were only 10 trucks on the lead lap. That will make it 11 with the Aaron's Lucky Dog.
And Terry Cook, I believe, is right in front of Hornaday, or at least on the racetrack in front of Hornaday, so he will get the Lucky Dog, and Hornaday and Crafton will have to battle it out next time to get the Lucky Dog.
The 2 championship contenders are going to be battling to try to get the Aaron's Lucky Dog to get back on the lead lap. But I think these guys will stay out, Phil, and they'll restart in front of the leaders, right up front. So both of them have a chance to get their lap back without even needing a Lucky Dog, because Kyle Busch has to come to pit road.
Yeah. Well, they're in their pit window. There's Ricky Carmichael right in front of the 24 of David Starr. Just gets a little bit loose up off of turn number 4. Does a nice job getting that monster Chevrolet down off of the racetrack through the grass. Tears up the grass bad, though.
But he doesn't hurt his splitter. That's what you worry about when you get in that grass. You could just tear that thing right off with the grass. But he's cool. He's slid through the grass and back onto the road.
With so few trucks right now on the lead lap, all these guys can come in, they can put tires on, and even come back in to put fuel in and know they're good to go, because we're in the window definitely for these guys to make it the rest of the way.
I want to give a shout out to Terry Cook. He's getting the Aaron's Lucky Dog, and to Brett Butler, Ken Butler's son. He's getting married tomorrow down in Atlanta. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to you, Terry Cook, for grabbing an Aaron's Lucky Dog.
Back on the lead lap, that'll put 11 trucks on the lead lap. Chicagoland Speedway. Welcome back. Second round of pit stops coming up from Chicagoland Speedway. Let's go back down to pit road. Ray Dunlap.
Well, on my end, Rick, we saw that the number 6 truck came in for 4 tires, and they need just a splash of gas to be able to make it the rest of the distance here. But a couple of drivers have stayed on the racetrack. I see that Dennis Setzer and the number 81 have stayed out there. They must feel like they're in their window for fuel. Here goes a little bit of fuel into the Conway Ford, and Colin Brown back to the racetrack, now down to Adam.
And one of the vehicles a lap down was Ron Hornaday. They pitted and got fuel only. The plan was to stay out, but after talking about it, they decided to come back, and they will get tires. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch also on pit road. He tops off the fuel tank and pulls away. It looked like Johnny Sauter may have been the quickest off the pit lane.
Ron Hornaday will be the last off because he did his pit stop out of order. He got his gas because, like Adam said, they were going to stay out. But great teams sometimes have to call audibles, and they decided, by golly, we need some tires.
Yeah.
And I know we messed up, but we're going to come get some tires.
Colin Brown got off just in front of that 13 of Johnny Sauter. So in front of the field, our scoring monitor shows Todd Bodine. We'll see if he can stay out in front here at Chicagoland Speedway. We'll be back for more green flag racing. Welcome back. EnjoyIllinois.com. 225 back underway. Green flag in the air.
Now that truck you see in the front, that's Chad McCumbee. He's on the tail end of the lead lap. If he can stay ahead of Todd Bodine, he won't need the Aaron's Lucky Dog. But listen, Phil, if he falls behind Todd and goes a lap down, that's critical for Crafton and Hornaday, because then he becomes the Lucky Dog.
Right now, the battle for the Lucky Dog is the 88 of Matt Crafton. If Chad McCumbee can stay in front of the leader. You see him on the middle of your screen there, just gets by David Starr.
And you can tell by the way he's driving, he knows how desperate it is and how serious it is. He went all the way to the bottom, made it 3 wide into 3 to get that spot. Now he's cheering for Chad McCumbee.
Look at this, 4 wide racing.
4 wide. Kyle Busch trying to stick the nose of that 51 in there. Decides a little bit better of that idea before he wrecks truck. So to the high side of the racetrack goes Kyle Busch.
Colin Brown right in front of Kyle Busch. David Starr moved over in front of Kyle for just a moment. There's Mike Skinner.
That's your lucky dog right at the moment, Skinner. And you can see he's 4 or 5 trucks ahead of Crafton, and even further than that ahead of Hornaday. So the only blessing for Crafton right now is he and Hornaday are in the same position. Both of them a lap down, neither one of them in position to get the dog.
Looks like Hornaday got past. Looked like Hornaday may have had a problem. Eric Almirola just drove around the outside of him. Now it looks like he's back up to speed through the center of the corner. There's Johnny Sauter. He's going to try to work to the inside of Johnny.
Johnny kind of got into the back of David Starr there in the center corner.
Johnny's still on the lead lap. He's being shown right now in the 6th position.
Look at Hornaday all the way down in that corner. I guarantee you wide open, didn't lift, slid up high.
Still hasn't lifted.
Now Todd Bodine got around Chad McCumbee, so he is the first truck scored a lap down in 12th. We have 11 trucks on the lead lap. Look at how close this was. Almost 4 wide.
Kyle Busch said, let me make it 4 wide. There might not be enough room there.
Little contact there, Colin Brown and David Starr.
It looks like David came up a little bit on Colin Brown. Looked like there wasn't too much damage to the left front fender of Colin Brown's truck. Currently runs 4th.
Todd Bodine, Timothy Peters, Dennis Setzer.
There goes Hornaday by Eric Almirola. They're going to be 3 wide off of 4.
Yeah, Taylor Mawson had a hard time getting through 3 and 4. That truck all the way up high on the racetrack. Ron took advantage of it, trying to pass 2 of them at once here down into turn 1.
Hornaday went down to the apron trying to make the pass. Now he's got a good run on that 81. He gets beside the 81, trying to take that spot away.
6, 1 at a time here.
Listening inside of Rick Crawford's truck. He's on the lead lap racing with Johnny Sauter. Both those trucks in the top 10.
That 81 also, Taylor Mawson is on the lead lap, so that move by Hornaday is not for position. It's to try to get up to Crafton, Bell, Skinner, and McCumbee all in front of him 1 lap down.
We watched Johnny Sauter from the Rick Crawford onboard trying to get underneath the 81 of Taylor Mawson. That is a battle for position. That's a battle for 7th.
45 laps to go from Chicagoland Speedway. Only 11 on the lead lap. They're all chasing Todd Bodine. Adam Alexander, Timothy Peters is running in the 2nd spot. Has he got anything to catch Bodine?
They haven't really discussed the situation about what's happening on track as far as racing, but you got to give an attaboy to a team that has really struggled all weekend long. They came in at laps 21 and 22, made major changes because the truck was incredibly loose. In fact, it was so bad that they came back under caution at lap 32, topped off the fuel tank and made more changes. But that worked to their advantage because then on that long green flag run, they stretched their fuel to lap 90. They are in their window to go the distance, meaning they only had to get tires under that last pit stop. I really like how this team has battled back from adversity this weekend, Ray.
And you know, Adam was telling the story earlier this evening about the fact that MRD Racing is probably not going to go to the next couple of races on our schedule. Well, the big question is, will Dennis Setzer go to those races? And today, I asked him right before we started driver intros, and he said, I don't know yet. I'm not sure if there's any position available right here to keep me running, because Setzer came in here 8th in the points, having a good side-by-side battle right now with Ron Hornaday. But remember, Setzer had gotten a little bit off cycle from what some of the other drivers did up towards the front. But all these guys right now good to go the distance. Setzer just a little bit tight off the corner.
And again, here we are, Phil. Later stages of the races, Dennis Setzer's figured out how to work his way into the top 5.
Again, hasn't led a lap yet this year. 2 second-place finishes, and here he is racing again in the top 5.
It happens every week. How can he not go to the next 2 races? You know he'll be up in the front before it's over.
Absolutely. Would love to see that 8 truck with Dennis Setzer at our next race next week.
This is a big battle right here. This is the battle for the Aaron's lucky dog to try to get back in this game. McCumbie's got it. Skinner wants it. Caution flies. Whichever one of these 2 get the lucky dog, they might still have a chance to win this darn race. And they know that.
Yeah, there's only 11 trucks on the lead lap right now, so you get your lap back and you're battling against 11 other guys.
And look, they're right behind the leader, driving away from the rest of the field. They've got trucks that they can win with.
And Chad McCumbee, Mike Skinner, currently in the 12th and 13th spot, and that is the Aaron's Lucky Dog spot.
We went an awful long way without a caution flag. This racetrack obviously has not had a lot of caution, so we may not see another caution. This may be all for naught.
But they're not going to count on two. They think maybe there'll be one, so they want to be that one lucky dog. What about Kyle Busch? He looks terribly human right now. He pitted, he's third and not making any progress on our leaders.
Doesn't have that clean air like he's enjoyed so much of this race.
Todd Bodine, Timothy Peters 1 and 2, Kyle Busch is 3, Colin Brown 4, Dennis Setzer your top 5. Eric Almirola is on the lead lap, as is Rick Crawford, Johnny Sauter, Stacy Compton, Terry Cook, and Taylor Malsum. Those are your top 11, all on the lead lap. The battle continues for that transfer spot. McCumbee and Skinner. Who will get the Aaron's Lucky Dog if a caution comes out? Stay with us. Be there when the lights come on as NASCAR Sprint Cup night comes racing in Atlanta Motor Speedway on Labor Day weekend. Go to www.atlantamotorspeedway.com for event information and special ticket pricing starting at just $39.
I read that earlier.
And a fine job.
See the damage? Check out the damage on Skinner's truck. Remember I talked about how important it was to be that Aaron's Lucky Dog guy? This late in the race on a track that has been caution-free predominantly tonight. Watch Skinner. He dives down into turn 1 behind Chad McCumbee, gets a great run through the center of the corner, and decides he's going to go on the outside.
Oh, if he had that back off the throttle, that would have been big. He was going to run that corner. He was committed to running that corner wide open. He saw Chad coming up. He had to back off. He made a little bit of contact. I think he stayed out of the outside wall. That's part of the rear bumper of that Chad McCumbee truck right there in the grill.
And it cracked the nose of Mike's truck, which could cause him to push a little bit more air underneath that hood than he's used to.
Now that piece of debris could be sitting on the racetrack right now, and that could bring out a caution, which would then put McCumbee on the lead line.
Could have flown over the wall too, back there. No grandstands or anything over in that part of the racetrack. There it is. Let's see where that is. That's definitely on the racetrack.
Looks to be on the racing surface. They're running up high though through that area, so out of the, not in the racing groove. Adam Alexander.
And Todd Bodine, of course, out front in this race. They are a little bit concerned about fuel. They know they are on the very edge of their window if Bodine can make it. And now you can see the distance from he and second place as Kyle Busch looks to the inside of Timothy Peters. Kyle on the radio talking about an issue with the splitter. He hasn't said much in the last 5 laps, but he doesn't like how the strategy panned out, and he sounds very motivated. We'll continue to keep our eye on driver 51.
Tell you, Adam, he's got about 30 laps to do it, and he's about 5 seconds behind. But guess what? The caution flag is out. He will restart on the rear bumper of that 30 truck of Todd Bodine.
29 laps of racing to go from Chicagoland Speedway. And how about that? Chad McCumbee's going to get that Aaron's Lucky Dog. There's some debris on the racetrack.
What's his debris?
Yeah.
He's going to get the Aaron's Lucky Dog because of a piece of his truck being on the racetrack.
Well, it's not there anymore.
Somebody just hit it.
So he gets the Aaron's Lucky Dog, and to continue the nuptials theme with the Lucky Dog, my nephew Lee Bob is getting married tomorrow as well. And the reason why that's important is because he went to Aaron's today and got some furniture for his new house.
Well, how about that?
I was trying to figure out how you'd spin that one into the Aaron's Lucky Dog.
It was a nice job too, Michael.
We'll be right back. Stay up to date no matter where you are. Get the latest NASCAR results and breaking news sent right to your phone with Speed Mobile Alerts. Just text NASCAR to Speed 3 to sign up today. Well, could this be the last caution? The fans have gone to get a refreshment, a couple hot dogs, and get ready for the finish of this one. Ray Dunlap.
Well, Chad McCumbee is leaving pit road right now in his ASI Limited Chevrolet, Rick, and here's what they did on lap 121. They came down and put 4 tires on that truck, and this time coming back through, they went up on the track bar and
took a round a wedge out of the left rear. They're making these adjustments to try to get McCumbee better through the center, and when he gets back to the racetrack, then they will give him the lucky dog. He'll go around the field and come to the tail end of the lead lap trucks. But tires on that 07, we'll see if it makes a difference. Adam?
And Kyle Busch, as we talked about earlier, felt like there may be something wrong with the splitter, and you can see the left front, no damage. That's what Richie Waters just told him. He pulled down on the apron when he came across the front straightaway. Waters was looking at it through the binoculars. Jeff Dickerson, his spotter, did say you're causing some sparks through turns 3 and 4, but everything appears to be good. And the best friend of Kyle Busch right now, this caution, because it closed up the gap, and he will have a chance to start right behind Todd Bodine and go after the lead.
And when Mike Skinner sees this 07 driver on the outside of him to get his lucky dog from Aaron's, he's not going to be happy because he cut him off. But that's racing, man. That's how important that position was, and Chad McCumbee knew it. He's going to be on the lead lap with his truck adjusted up and ready to go race these guys.
Mike Skinner, we saw how good his truck was. He and Chad McCumbee both were able to stay with Todd Bodine, our leader, but unfortunately Mike Skinner here with 26 laps to go is 1 lap down. And Chad McCumbee, who got to Aaron's lucky dog, will have to restart from the tail end of the longest line, so he really needs a second caution flag to really get in contention.
Chad McCumbee's going to get his lap back, so he speeds around the racetrack to get to the back into the longest line. Camping World again giving things away. It's Destination Recreation Sweepstakes September 4th. You can go online to campingworld.com/racing and sign up to be eligible for weekly prizes and that grand prize, a trip to Miami and an RV, a motorhome they're going to give away.
Wow, what a great series sponsor, huh? They're all in.
All in.
Giving away a motorhome, prizes, the champion get the motorhome.
Yeah.
That's motivation. And just look at the infield of any of these races.
Oh, yeah.
Is that not our customers right there for Camping World?
They are. We're about to go back to racing. We'll have just 25 laps to go.
You got Aaron's giving away laps. You got Camping World giving away motorhomes. We're just here for y'all.
And we got Todd Bodine trying to win another race on a 1.5 mile racetrack.
And he's been fast. During the last 10 laps of the run before the caution, he was a couple 3/10 faster than Kyle Busch. So be interesting to see how much better Kyle's truck is now that he's up there closer to the front.
And we're about to find out. Coming out of turn 4 into the quad oval, Todd Bodine back in the gas. We're underway.
Let's see what happens when we get down to turn number 1. We know Kyle Busch is going to hold it down. More than likely, Todd Bodine is too.
Todd Bodine hungry for another win. These 1.5 mile racetracks have been good to Todd Bodine. Kyle Busch not giving him an inch. All over the back bumper. Kyle Busch goes a little higher through 3 and 4.
Wow, he is all over him, Rick. You're exactly right. Todd wasn't able to put any distance on him.
The gap closing even more as they get ready to go into 1. Todd Bodine, Kyle Busch, battle for the lead.
This, don't forget Timothy Peters either now. He's running in the 3rd spot.
Todd Bodine moves to the inside of the racetrack, not wanting to give a draft to Kyle Busch as they go down that backstretch.
Timothy Peters trying to work his way around Mike Skinner. Remember, Mike Skinner is the lead truck right now trying to get there. Oh, that's TJ Bell.
Bell gets turned around. He and Mike Skinner got side by side. Here comes Bell up the racetrack.
Up the track.
Look out. A close call there. TJ Bell back up the racetrack. Great driving to stay away from him.
Oh, man, that looked huge. But that's TJ Bell was trying to get the lucky dog position away from Skinner. You know, he was all over him. He knows this race is winding down. He was all in the gas, spun out.
And that's going to give Skinner the Aaron's lucky dog.
And that's good news for Matt Crafton, because you know who was closing in on these two was Ron Hornaday, and Matt had given up some distance. Matt does not need for Hornaday to get this free pass. He needs Hornaday to stay on his lap so that he can minimize any point damage that he might suffer.
It's going to be a big break for Chad McCumbee too. He'd already worked his way up to the 10th position. Now he will be able to restart right in line with these guys.
No, that was crazy. He came back up that track and those guys missed him. What a great job by the spotters and the drivers to miss this truck.
Behind him. Take a look at this. Side by side, there you see TJ Bell sliding down into the infield, and now back up the racetrack.
Oh, Ricky Carmichael just gets by.
And look
What
at
a
him. He's
close
still,
call.
he hadn't quit driving yet. It felt here and wanted to get out of there. Look how fast this thing goes around on him.
You talked about it at the very beginning of the show when you get a truck side by side. The one on the inside, Mikey, oh man.
I can't believe that those guys did such a great job. You know, TJ needs to be a little bit more cognizant maybe at this point of his front wheels. They're pointed to the right. He's got to get those things cranked around to the left to make sure he doesn't go back up in front of traffic. But it all happened so quickly, I'm sure he didn't know where his wheels were.
Riding along with Rick Crawford, that Ford onboard.
Oh, Rick said, let me get by here before that truck comes back up the racetrack. There's Timothy Peters. This is the truck that we thought might have been the one that was spinning there for a moment. Those trucks look identical.
So TJ Bell coming off of pit road. Mike Skinner was on pit road as well.
I hope his heart's beating as hard as mine is. That scared the heck out of me.
FueledByFans.com. If you want to see TJ Bell on the racetrack, you can help him out. Go to FueledByFans.com. Matt Crafton's view of what took place in front of him, racing for a championship. Welcome back. 20 laps to go. Enjoy Illinois.com 225 for the Camping World Truck Series at Chicagoland Speedway. Let's go back to pit road and Ray Dunlap.
Well, guys, I told you a little while ago that McCumbee put on tires and fuel. They think that's going to be a big benefit for them. They'll restart 10th right here, but as they look at the people ahead of them, they think they're good enough to get all the way up to Colin Brown at least. And from there, the front four, it could be a good battle. But they're saying to McCumbee, you got a top four truck, and he said, don't worry, I'll get you there. Adam?
Michael, you love talking about the Aaron's lucky dog. The man in position to get it on this next restart, I believe, will be Ron Hornaday, but he doesn't want to wait for a caution. He'd like to drive around those leaders and take care of business himself. How fun is this going to be? Todd Bodine, the leader on the restart, Kyle Busch behind him and lined up to the inside. Ron Hornaday trying to get back on the lead lap. This restart ought to be special.
Ron Hornaday's got a bit of a decision to make, though, Rick. If he drives out there on his own and gets the lead from these guys and races his way back on the lead lap, that's going to give the lucky dog to Matt Crafton. Might be a little bit of a strategy play here, except Ron doesn't know how to do this, but if he did, to stay one lap down and be the first guy one lap down.
But remember, he would have to restart from the tail of the longest line, so it would be very difficult for him to gain more positions.
Inside 20 laps, we do single file restarts, and that's why you're seeing the single file start now. Todd Bodine, Kyle Busch, Colin Brown, Timothy Peters, Johnny Saudiger, top 5.
Timothy Peters jumps to the inside of the 6 of Colin Brown for third.
Timothy Peters taking the position away.
Look at, Todd Bodine's going to try to block Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch with a big run down the backstretch. He'll take the spot away from Todd Bodine.
I don't think Todd's done yet. He's going to fight back on the outside, not able to do anything that corner.
Todd Bodine's truck was faster than Kyle Busch when they were running green flag conditions, so it'll be interesting to see if Kyle, now that he's out front, can stay there.
Rick Crawford with a good run on the inside of that 13 of Johnny Sauter. Crawford up to the 5th spot, took the position away from Sauter.
We talked to Rick before the race. We know how important it is to have a good run here in Chicago.
International on board with that 14 team. Dennis Setzer in the 8, Johnny Sauter in that 13, and then Chad McCumbee in the 07. Some close racing here.
Man, that's a pack, isn't it? That's a gaggle.
There's a glob. There's Ron Hornaday. Remember, Ron being a lap down.
That's all I got. Gaggle, glob, pack.
It's a mess.
Ron Hornaday to the outside of that 8 of Dennis Setzer.
Remember, Hornaday's running 14th.
1 lap down. Matt Crafton running 15th, also a lap down. And you see the yellow 88 of Crafton now.
He just can't keep up with Hornaday. Hornaday needs a caution, and Matt doesn't need one.
That's the last thing that Matt needs right now is for Hornaday to get back on the lead lap.
He's got to sweat it out for another 6 laps. Inside of 10, we don't give away the Aaron's lucky dog, so.
Keep digging that 81, got a little tight.
That's a
still all
3-point
clear by 1.
advancement
On that
for Hornaday.
24,
It would be. Again, the points separating them 211 when they came into this race. You said it's 4, it's 3, right? 3 points separating 14th and 15th now on the racetrack. That's Hornaday and Crafton. On board with Rick Crawford. Looking up to the strutmasters.com, 17 of Timothy Peters.
Another good run for Timothy Peters, Adam.
And Phil, what's so impressive about it is the fact that everything has not gone their way this weekend. There are certainly those times when you unload for practice, you're good, you qualify well, and then you race well. But that's not been the case this weekend. They battled through issues last week at Bristol and got a top 10. This team has been competitive. They've had good trucks, but they've also done a nice job of handling situations when things weren't so rosy. Tonight, another example of that, Ray.
And Adam, just to add on Rick Crawford real quick, you know, for the longest time on mile and a half, they ran a truck called Blackjack. It was number 21, but they've gone to a different race truck for the last couple of mile and a half tracks, and it's got a different body on it, a little bit different than what they have been used to. And guess what? You know who hung it? The same guy that works on Kyle Busch's truck. And Rick Crawford said he loves the way this thing rolls through the corner. He's able to keep the power down and drop it right down on the white line.
Coming up on that magic number of laps to go.
Got a crash.
And the problems
Taylor
continue.
Malsom, David Starr, caution flag. What a break for Ron Hornaday. Oh, he's going to hit.
Oh, he got
contact
there.
Got Shane's Ryan Sieg in the 39 truck.
Almost got the...
Skinner's also involved in this, it looks like. At least he slowed, maybe to avoid. But the 5 of Skinner gets involved.
And Hornaday is going to get the Aaron's lucky dog.
Huge, huge point deal for Ron Hornaday right here. He's got to be so happy inside that truck. The last thing Matt Crafton wanted to see right there. Because you understand, Hornaday's going to be back on the lead lap. He's going to pass a lot of trucks.
Yeah, and Crafton will not have a chance to get back on the lead lap because we're going to restart inside of 10 laps to go. There will be no more Aaron's lucky dogs.
Now, can Hornaday get up and contest for a win?
No.
No,
but
absolutely not.
He can certainly get up to the top 10, and knowing him, the way he restarts, we get a couple cautions. He might even get a top 5, but he cannot win this race. It's like these two are kind of confused.
He said that pretty definitively, too. He cannot win this race.
Well, he's right.
You agree with him?
Absolutely.
Here's our caution. This is what brought out the 7th or the 5th caution of the night.
Oh, contact. David Starr looked like he came down the hill just a little bit. Taylor Malsom was there. They made contact. There's a contact that Skinner got. Terry Cook did a great job getting through the middle of those trucks.
Look at Jason White just barely slipping by. The Sieg truck couldn't quite get by, caught the front of Malsom. Taylor just, he gets on the humps there a little bit, bounced up into David Starr. Both those guys racing hard late in the race. Skinner gets hit. Look at the job Cook and Carmichael do getting through the middle. And look at Stacey Compton.
A great job by him. And there's Ryan Sieg coming along with, you know, on the bottom of the racetrack, as low as he could get. Unfortunately, Taylor came down, made a little contact.
Riding along with Mike Skinner.
Everything looks okay right now, Phil, but it goes bad in a hurry.
Really bad. Now, right now in front of him, there's the accident. And remember, that's his teammate right there, Taylor Malsom. Comes down the
right side.
Just
look at there.
Oh, just about saved it. Just got a little bit behind there.
But he's okay, I think. He can come in, put a little tape on that right side, get him some fresh tires.
Yeah, how much damage to the right side? That's the question right now.
I think it hit it in like the door. I don't think it caught the angle. It looked like it didn't get his right front tire, so I think they can tape it up and he'll be fine.
They're working on the careerbuilder.com 24.
He's not fine.
No.
I mean, physically he's fine.
Yeah, the truck.
The truck isn't fine.
A lot of damage to that race truck. So we are under our 5th caution, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're inside 10 laps remaining at Chicagoland Speedway, the inaugural event. This mile and a half for the Camping World Truck Series. The Aaron's lucky dog going to your point leader, Ron Hornaday.
And I don't know anyone else getting married.
So you're not going to tie that into anything other than racing.
Lake Speed's daughter got married last weekend.
Oh, nice.
Sarah Ann.
I miss Lake Speed. He's a good man.
Adam Alexander.
Richie Waters trying to go to victory lane 2 weeks in a row with Kyle Busch. 1 to go here. What's it going to take to hold him off these final few laps?
Well, Todd's going to be tough. We got a good Toyota Tundra tonight, and we're out in that clean air right now, so that'll definitely help. And just having Kyle Busch behind the wheel makes a big difference, you know. So we got a pretty good truck. I think we can do it. Just got to be patient and not do nothing stupid on the restart here.
I wouldn't bet against Rowdy. Ray?
Yeah, they just waved off the 1-to-go signal here. I'm up on the pit box with Mike Beam. And, of course, Colin Brown has the same truck that they used to win with at Michigan. You got anything for these front runners, Mike?
I don't know. We just got to get going here. You know, trucks seem to do a lot better on long runs. You know, Colin, his inexperience is really showing on his restarts there, he's saying. But, you know, he's doing a good job. You know, the guys were right in front of us in points, you know, we're just had a little bit of trouble. Hopefully we can take advantage of it. And, you know, Kyle and Todd, they're just such hard racers. So hopefully if something does happen, I don't wish bad on no one. We can take advantage of it. But we'll see. You know, everyone's done a great job tonight. You know, it's Conway Ford's been awesome. And, you know, the guys gave us a great engine and everybody at the shop gave us a great truck. So, you know, like I told Colin, put his big boy pants on. Let's get after it here.
All right, we wish you good luck, and let's hear from the crew chief of Todd Bodine. He's with Adam.
There was a time not too long ago when driver 30 was the fastest on track. So what do you got for 51 on the restart?
We'll see right here. You know, Todd's pretty strong in this Ventrilo-Trunder. These guys have done a heck of a job. We've had a rough couple weeks, but this team never gives up, and they give you 110% all the time. I'm just proud of these guys. Appreciate everybody's hard work at the shop and here at the racetrack.
Mike Hillman Jr. trying to lead Todd Bodine to yet another win on a 1.5 mile racetrack.
He's been impressive on 1.5 miles, but he's got a pretty impressive driver in front of him.
Yeah, he sure does. Kyle Busch is no slouch. What, 55 wins now?
NASCAR
wow.
wins.
But can I tell you that the desire and the passion and the will to leave it on the floor, neither one of those have an advantage in that area. Todd Bodine will race you as hard as anybody in the garage area, and Kyle Busch will do the same thing. So this is just going to be man against man, knowing that they're going to throw it all out there. Whoever has the best truck and can do the best job. If you get beat, you know you got beat by a guy that just did a better job than you, not because you were just taking it easy or something.
And I think right now, because of what you said about the fact that probably these tires have cooled off, they may be able to run the rest of this race wide open. Kyle Busch, I'm going to give the advantage to because he's out front. He's got the cleanest air.
Well, you know, Kyle Busch got around Todd Bodine on a restart. So we have to see if Todd can return the favor here and take advantage of that clean air himself. That's beautiful. Look at the fireworks.
A little early there. The fireworks taking place. We've still got 7 laps of racing to go. Kyle Busch in front of Todd Bodine. Will drafting come into play as we have the final 7 laps here at Chicagoland Speedway? We are about to find out. Kyle Busch, Todd Bodine, Colin Brown, Timothy Peters, Rick Crawford. Green flag back in the air.
Kyle Busch gets a great start, drives away from Todd Bodine by 3 or 4 truck lengths.
Let's see if the draft can pull Todd up and get him a little momentum, maybe down the backstretch. Hold those things wide open.
Todd Bodine trying to get a run as they come off of 2.
He did get a run off turn 2. He's closed that gap right down to 1 truck length, Phil.
Bodine ran a little higher down the backstretch. Now a little higher through 3 and 4 and to the front.
Looks like Kyle's truck worked really well. There's a battle for 4th right there. Timothy Peters, Rick Crawford, side by side for 4th. Right behind him, Chad McCumbee, Johnny Sauter, side by side for 7th.
Crawford takes the position, so he moves up to 4th. Timothy Peters back to 5th. Johnny Sauter 6th. Chad McCumbee 7th. Busch and Bodine still 1 and 2. Busch now has put 4 truck lengths between himself and Todd Bodine.
That truck has been so good in clean air, just like Todd's was so good in clean air. Todd had a 4.5 second lead on Kyle Busch when the caution came out 20, 30 laps ago.
5 laps remaining from Chicagoland.
The difference will be on that restart when Kyle Busch was able to get his way around Todd Bodine. Todd couldn't do it back to Kyle.
Busch has won 4 times after passing Todd Bodine for the final lead change. This could be the 5th.
See David Starr's crippled truck on the apron coming back to pit road.
Across the start-finish line, 4 laps to go.
I'll tell you right now, Todd Bodine, 3 wide. Chad McCumbee going for the 5th spot.
Chad McCumbee with a gutsy move down on the bottom of the racetrack.
We heard Ray say he had fresh tires. You better go get you a top 4 finish. Well, Chad took him serious, didn't he?
He sure did.
Look, fighting on the bottom, though. Here comes Peters back low.
Little draft between Timothy Peters and Johnny Sauter allowed Timothy to pull right up beside Chad McCumbee, exiting turn 4.
Door to door, they're going to make it 3 wide again. Johnny Sauter to the outside, trying to take the position back.
And here comes Dennis Setzer getting his nose all up in this business.
3 laps of racing to go. Johnny Sauter now in front of the 17 and the 07 and pulling away. Also pulling away, Kyle Busch has got a half a second over Todd Bodine. 3 wide again for position.
Dennis Setzer makes it 3 wide, gets by Timothy Peters and Chad McCumbee. Eric Almirola trying to get by Timothy Peters.
And you know, I'm surprised the guy that hadn't made any progress during this 10-lap run to the checkered is Ron Hornaday. He's still riding along back in the 11th spot. Hadn't been able to make the kind of ground I thought he would.
Side by side with Stacy Compton right now, I think for the 11th position. There he gets by TJ Bell. He got by Stacy Compton. He's got 2 more laps to gain some more points, but right now Matt Crafton back in the 14th position. Hornaday's got him by 3 spots.
Here comes Kyle Busch. White flag will go in the air one more time around Chicagoland Speedway.
You're watching a cat that's doing some special things in NASCAR racing right now. Got the win at Bristol last Saturday night, and then this weekend trying to win on Friday night in Chicago.
Championship battle continues between Hornaday and the 88 of Matt Crafton.
It's got to be painful for Matt to watch. That position isn't significant. They're on different laps, but Matt knows that Hornaday's riding along in 11th and he's in 14th.
The inaugural race at Chicagoland Speedway. The victor, Kyle Busch.
All right, checkered flag. Good job, bud.
2 in a row for Kyle Busch.
He wins for the 4th time in 2009. Remember 2008, he never won after Bristol. He did it about a week later this year.
We talk about impressive statistics when we talk about Kyle Busch. I think there is no other statistic that is more impressive than the fact that this now is the 5th track that Kyle Busch has won in all 3 series of NASCAR. Trucks, Nationwide, and Cup.
And he's not that old.
25.
25 years old and already
24,
now
24
years old and already 5 racetracks that he's won in all 3 of the upper tier of NASCAR.
And there's a chance he's going to do it on some more, I would guess. He's won he's won 3 of the last 4 NASCAR races he's competed in. He won at Bristol on Wednesday night, he won at Bristol on Saturday night, and then he won here tonight.
Since the change in crew chiefs, Kyle Busch has been to victory lane both races. And let's hear from the crew chief. He's with Adam.
Indeed, the combination of Waters and Busch batting 1,000 in 2009. I know that strategy didn't go exactly like you thought it would tonight, but it all worked out there at the end, didn't it, Richie?
It all worked out. You know, we had a pit early there, but we had right rear trouble in practice. We want to make sure we're okay, and Todd followed suit, and it kind of worked out for the best for us. And you know, Kyle's a heck of a race car driver, and when you get out front, you know, I don't think anybody's going to get around him unless he's a little bit worse. But he had a heck of a race car, and that Toyota Tundra run great tonight. And I want to thank Mick Asuki and Billy Blue and Chris Huff for always helping this team out financially too. And it was a great win for us. And with Kyle, you know, me and him just get together so good, and everything works out to our favor all the time. And it's a brand new truck, so it shows promise anyway. We won with something without being 11 for once on a super speedway.
So Waters and Busch 2-0 in 2009, and the trucks undefeated as well.
Such talent behind the wheel in Kyle Busch, and I'd like to remind fans, when he comes over here into the Camping World Truck Series, and no matter where he finishes, he doesn't take any of the prize money. Not a dime.
He lets Billy Blue put every dime back in that race team.
So Kyle Busch, the victor once again in the Camping World Truck Series. It's his 13th career win in just his 64th start. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Ford. Different is good. Drive the Ford difference at your local Ford or Lincoln Mercury dealer. And by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood floors for less. Back in victory lane is Kyle Busch, and Adam Alexander's down there with him.
A year ago, he swept the Nationwide and Sprint Cup Series races at Chicago. He was the first to do that. And tonight, he is the first driver to celebrate in victory lane following event in the Camping World Truck Series. I know you remember well how special this evening was last year when you did it in Cup and Nationwide, and here you are in the first ever truck event winning. How special is this one, Kyle?
Pretty cool, man. This is awesome, to come out here and with a brand new piece, thank all these guys from Billy Blue Motorsports, the pit crew. They did a good job tonight, and really want to thank the fans, Mikasuki, Tundra, Toyota, all those guys that do such an awesome job for us. Gillette, Marquee Jets, DirecTV. Richie made a good pit call there in the beginning of the race to take tires when we did. Luckily, we had that long green flag run. We cased it, man. That was we made it look like we knew what we were doing, and that long run, it just hurt everybody else. It got them behind. Hornaday, he was a good truck tonight. The 88 was a good truck tonight, but the right pit strategy just kept us up front there, and we had a little trouble coming through traffic sometimes, but once you get up front and clean air, man, the thing just takes off.
You got the caution after the long green flag run that put you right behind Bodine. Take us through the pass on the restart.
Yeah, the pass on the restart, I just had to make sure that I got a good restart, and when I got a good run on him down on the bottom side, I just had to stay there. I just had to keep going, Even if he pinched me into turn 3, I was going to have to keep my nose in there because that was the only position I had on him. I had to keep my position, but he raced me great. Bodine did a great job. Helped Toyota get a win here. I know he was a fast truck too, but we kept them Fords back there. So thank TRD, Toyota, everybody at Blue Motorsports again, Richie, and all these guys, and hopefully Triad Engines. Hopefully we can do it again a few more times.
56 career wins in NASCAR for Kyle Busch. He'll go for 57 Sunday afternoon in the Nationwide car at Montreal. Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Adam. I want to hear from Todd Bodine. I'm curious your thoughts about if there's anything you could have done different there at the end to get the win on Kyle.
Not really. These things are so aero sensitive. You get within 4 truck lengths and the thing will push like crazy. I mean, my truck was absolutely perfect by itself, and I tried to run high, and it's so much further around. He would pull away from me. And I try to run in his tracks, and I get aero tight. There's just really hard to pass. I mean, it's almost impossible. But on that second to last restart, I just got too good a restart. And this place is so much like Daytona, Talladega, where its drafting is so important. And he got a good draft and passed me. I guess it's my fault. I shouldn't have got such a good restart. And then there at the end, he left pretty early on that last restart and got a little gap in us. I tried to do what he did to me, but he had too big a gap and it didn't work. But this Ventrilo Tundra was really good. We weren't good to start. Junior made some great adjustments, got it really handling good. And after the last 2 months we've had, second, right now it stinks because we should have won the race, but second's pretty good after the last 2 months. And I want to thank the fans for not only watching, but all the fans that came out, the threat of rain, and they all still came out to watch a great race. And I want to say hi to Miss Hillman, too.
All right, he moves up 2 spots in the points. Todd Bodine will be 4th after finishing 2nd at Chicago.
First race at Chicagoland Speedway for the Camping World Truck Series. Kyle Busch is in victory lane. Take a look at this 2009 season. 4 wins in the Cup Series, 6 wins in the Nationwide Series, and 4 wins in the Truck Series.
That's a great career right there.
Well, I tell you what, even more impressively.
That's just a year. That's just a year.
And more impressively, over the past 2 years, this is his 35th win in those 3 series.
That's incredible.
35th win in 2 years.
Yeah, and you ever wonder why when he gets beat, he's a little irritated?
He expects to win, and I bet he expects to win on Sunday when they will be in the Nationwide race from Montreal. That's on ESPN2. We'll be back with more from Chicagoland Speedway right after these messages. Welcome back. Victory Lane celebration continuing for Kyle Busch. His 4th this year in the Camping World Truck Series. Let's take a look at tonight's Touch of Gray winning touch moment. I believe it's got to have something to do with that restart.
Kyle Busch gets a great run on Todd Bodine. Todd said he got a little bit too good of a restart. Kyle had momentum. He drafted by him, and that was the win move, and that's what got him to victory lane right there, crossing the start-finish line. He knew his opportunity was right there on the restart, and he took advantage of it. Jumped around Tom Bodine and drove off to the win.
That was the touch of gray, winning touch moment. Touch of gray gets rid of some gray, never all. And he doesn't have to worry about gray hair for probably another 20 years now.
He's caused a lot of gray hair.
Only 24 years old. Ron Hornaday, and that was not a transition there. Ron Hornaday at 51 years old, up on top of the points. Matt Crafton, 220 points back, so he lost 9 points in this race.
It could have been a whole lot worse, though. Ron Hornaday, had he got the lucky dog earlier, and he could have gained at least 4, 5, 6 more positions, so pretty minimal damage for what it could have been.
Colin Brown back there at 7th in the point standings. Let's hear from him. He's with Adam Alexander.
And he was stealing a peek of our monitor to see just where you are in the standings. No movement this week, but you did gain some points on those guys just in front of you. Talk about your top 5 run.
Well, it was a good run for the number 6 Conway Freight Trail TL Ford F-150 truck. I felt like we had a fast truck there at the end, and my crew chief said it was going to be a good night for points. We didn't move up any in the points, so that's, I guess, a little disappointing. But I guess we closed the gap to 5th, so that's good. And, you know, it was a really fun race out there. I learned a lot. I feel like I got a lot of work to do to be as good as Kyle and Todd. You know, they just got so much experience. They know what the air does and all that. So, you know, it was a fun race. Got to thank the fans for coming out. It was certainly, I hope it was a good show. It was exciting from my standpoint.
Good luck in Montreal.
Thank you.
Ray?
And Adam, Rick Crawford came to Chicago on Tuesday. He's been going around meeting all the folks from International and doing lots of autograph sessions and stuff. This has to be a much-needed boost to this team to get a top 5 finish tonight, Rick.
It really does, and my thanks go to the International Truck and Engine folks and also the fans of Chicagoland Speedway that come out here and support us tonight. But, I mean, all the users, all the employees, and the guys who go up and down our highways in safe trucks. Most recognizable truck on the interstate, the International Pro Star Lone Star. And we're just having a great time here tonight. Hope to put on a great show for the international folks that was here. And just had a great time tonight at Chicagoland Speedway.
All right, we're glad to see you get a good finish. And Johnny Sauter here is real quick. I just want to ask you satisfied with your, what'd you get, 6th place tonight? 5th. Nice job.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Just first and foremost, I want to thank all the fans for coming out here tonight. Pretty awesome racetrack. This is a special place for me. Obviously, I got my first ever nationwide win here a few years back. So just super proud of all the guys at ThorSport, all the guys back at the shop. They tell me I never thank them. So just super proud of all them guys and obviously all the guys going over the wall tonight. Pit stops have come a long way. And thank Duke and Rhonda Thorson. And fun seeing Curb Record Chevrolet. It was fun to drive tonight.
All right, you got them all in. Congratulations. Johnny Sauter finishes 5th tonight, guys.
Those are great interviews. Those guys got all their sponsors in. They were appreciative of being here. Great finishes for Crawford and Sauter. And 4th is a long way from victory lane, but they were still happy to get a good finish for their teams and their sponsors.
How about the first race at Chicagoland?
I think it was a great race. We saw some great racing. Saw a long green flag run. We saw a green flag pit stop. Some strategy came into play, and that put Kyle Busch up front along with Tom Bodine.
A little short track racing next for the Camping World Truck Series, Iowa Speedway. Yep, that is Chris Devota's home state. Coming up next, it's pastime right here on Speed. Kyle Busch once again victorious in the Camping World Truck Series.
The streak may have been broken, but points leader Ron Hornaday still holds the record for the most wins at a new track. See if he can keep the record alive when the trucks head to Iowa Speedway next week. Don't miss a second of the action as the Truck Series makes its first trip to the Hawkeye State. It all starts with the setup at 9:30, only on Speed. Be there.